Good evening, one and all. Great. Good afternoon, one and all. We welcome you all to the International Conference on Social Work, Sciences, Shared Future for Transformative Change, Harmonious Coexistence, Nature, Environment, Indigenous Wisdom, Diversity, Inclusion, and Sustainable Development 2024, commemorating Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, nation celebrating 76 years of independence and United Nations Sustainable Development Goals 2015 to 2030 as part of awareness and campaigns in collaboration with Sri Holistic Health Foundation India and Sri Research Institute Center for Art, Sciences and Wellbeing. So before we start our sessions, let's take the blessings of Almighty.
कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शत्रुबुद्धिविनाशाय दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः
With the blessings of Almighty, we shall continue with today's sessions. So anyone who is ready with the presentations can share your details in chat box so that we can invite them for presentations. Those who have missed their presentations can also make presentations. And those who have registered recently or today can also utilize, whose presentations have not been scheduled, can also utilize this session for making presentations. So kindly share the details in the format which is visible on the screen so that we can invite you for the presentation. You can share the details to Dr. Ravindra, co-host. Yeah, Mary, you can unmute yourself. Start your video and presentation.
Uh, Good afternoon to all. I'm Mary Florence Frida from Bangalore, professional social worker. I thank Dr. Ravindra Sir and Sri Holistic Health Foundation India and Sri Research Institute Center for Arts, Science and Wellbeing for giving me this opportunity to present on the topic role of a social worker in correctional setting. First, I will be going into the introduction, the various roles of social worker in correctional settings. Social work education is designed to train practitioners to perform a variety of functions in human services settings, including clinical practice, administration, policy, practice, supervision, organizing, advocacy, and research and education. Foundation level education in social work includes content on work with individuals, family, couples, and small groups, human behavior, community, and organizational dynamics, social policy research and evaluation, social policy research, cultural and ethnic diversity and values and their ethics. Social work education is unique in its broad approach to human services, an approach that seems to be tailor-made for work with adult and juvenile offenders and with the various components of the juvenile and criminal and justice system. In principle, social workers with advanced training are educated to be enabled to provide clinical and case management assistance to individual offenders and their families, design, administer, and evaluate programs, supervise staff, and advocate and lobby for legislation and other social change. The role of social workers in the various correctional settings have been specifically designed. Broadly, the role of the social worker in the correctional uh, settings may take the form as described above. First is advocates and reforms. Social worker always embraced and be committed to social justice issues. Social workers are trained to identify and confront injustice through policy process, protest, and lobbying. Examples of issues that warrant social workers' advocacy and reform efforts include the rights of offenders who have a major mental illness, the need for progress designed to facilitate the transition of offenders from institutional to community-based settings, the need to prevent abuse and discrimination in institutional settings, and the legal protection of minors who are being charged and tried in criminal court as adults and sentenced to adult prisons. The second is the direct service providers. Social workers should be active participant in meditation, alternative dispute resolution, restitution, and conciliation programs. Social workers have both the clinical skills to assume these roles and the values and ideology commitment required to be effective. Social workers should be central to the restorative justice movement. Third point is legal aid. Legal aid and assistance to the weak and downtrodden is a task best suited to the professional social workers in the light of the professional goals which are committed to the welfare of the poor and needy, right from promoting legal literacy to giving legal advice in specific cases. A professional social worker services can be immense value in bringing our justice system within the search of common man. Social workers are used in the correctional settings in the research and development program and also in the evaluation. Throughout the professional history, social workers have strengthen their understanding of and commitment to research and program evaluation. Criminal justice program that were once created, designed, and funded based on faith and goodwill now require in-depth research and evaluation to justify their existence. Every accredited social work education program provides students with at least a foundation level of knowledge and skills related to formulating research and evaluation questions, research and evaluation design, sampling methods, data collection techniques, measurement issues, validity and reliability, research and evaluation techniques, especially the protection of human rights and human subjects. Subjects, data analysis and report preparation. The last one is it acts the social worker can address as administrators and supervisors. Social work education program typically include an administrative track for those students who wish to pursue their career path. Curriculum content ordinarily includes instruction on program planning, budgeting, and financially management, grant writing, personal issues and staff management, employment evaluation, supervision, leadership, staff development, community relations, and organizational dynamics. Such knowledge and skills are available in a wide range of public and private sectors, criminal justice settings such as parole or at probation officers, residential treatment programs, and counseling center. Thank you very much, sir, for the opportunity given to me. I thank once again Sri Holistic Health Foundation and Sri Research Institute Center for Arts, Science and Wellbeing, and especially thanks to Dr. Ravindra sir. Thank you, sir.
Congratulations, Mary, for your presentation.
Thank you, sir.
We wish you all the success.
Thank you, sir.
Future, you can also add some statistics along
Yes,
with
sir.
a few case studies that will make a presentation more effective.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay.
Thank you very much, sir, for the opportunity.
Thank you, ma'am. So we will move on to the next presenter for the day. So the presenters are requested to share their details in the chat box. Next, we have Rajiv Sharma from Amity University. In the meanwhile, we request everyone, all the presenters waiting for their presentations, to share their details as per the given format in chat box. And this is last opportunity for them, for those who have missed their presentations. Again, we will not be able to provide opportunity. So kindly make use of this opportunity and inform your colleagues as well, friends, those who have registered but could not make their presentations. Rajvi Sharma, you can unmute yourself, start your video and presentation, ma'am, with your brief introduction.
Yes, sir. Yes. Am I visible, sir, and audible?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Let me just share my screen. Okay. So first of all, a very, very good afternoon to everyone present here. Let me start by thanking Dr. Ravindra Sir and Sri Research Institute and Center for Arts, Science and Wellbeing for putting together this entire event and presenting such a substantial opportunity to us students especially. My name is Rajvi Sharma. I'm a final year graduate, undergraduate psychology student from IFSW, Amity University, Noida. I conducted a primary research and designed a comparative study on coping with stress and resilience between military spouses and civilian spouses. First, let me begin by starting off how I came about this topic. I come from a family of army individuals. My father is also somebody who's in the army. I've seen them getting deployed in positions and places where there are extreme conditions, the weather, whether it's about the weather or the deployment locations, everything is not the life of a civilian is very difficult and different from the life of in somebody who's in the army. Hence, I decided to statistically prove that individuals in the army, especially the spouses, they play an instrumental role and their lives are entirely different from those who are civilians. So, the aim of the present study is to assess the comparative differences in coping with stress and resilience between military spouses and civilian spouses. For this method, for this procedure, I've used the Brief Resilience Scale by Ohio University and Brief Coping Orientation to Problems Experience Inventory. So as per the introduction, like I just mentioned, how the deployment, whether it's persistent exposure to trauma, being shifted to isolated locations, separation from their family, all this, it possesses an exceptionally different amount of stress on the individual. However, their spouses are the ones who are handling with other things, who are dealing with the family and also carrying on with the everyday life. So especially when we talk about conducting relevant literature, there has not been enough research is done about this, especially in the Southeast Asian zone and India, of course. There have been researches of army wives and military spouses in US, and some of them have been proven substantial, especially those conducted in the Middle East have also proven that individuals who have spouses in the army they possess higher coping strategies. They have reduced amount of um, they tackle with problems better. Moving on, first let's navigate a few terminologies. So coping with stress is largely um, a psychological phenomena that individuals employ to manage, adapt to, and alleviate the challenges and pressures they encounter in life. Stress is defined as our body's response to perceived threats or demands. It can manifest in various forms, including physiological symptoms, increased heart rate, muscle tension, and psychologically, it exhibits as anxiety, muscle tension, cognitive impairments, and also difficulty and concentrating on negative thoughts. In the questionnaire that I've used, the emphasis is on problem focused coping. This involves actively addressing the stressor itself, either by taking direct action to change the situation or circumstances causing stress. Problem focused coping strategies may include problem facing, seeking information or advice, time management, or seeking practical assistance or resources. Next, we have emotion focused coping. It involves regulating one's emotional responses to stress by managing emotions, seeking emotional support, or distracting oneself from the stressor. Now, these strategies do not directly change the stressor, but instead aim to alleviate emotional distress associated with it. Now, examples of focused coping could be relaxation techniques, deep breathing, meditation, seeking support for family or friends. Next, we have avoidance coping that involves cognitive and behavioral efforts oriented towards denying, minimizing, or otherwise avoiding dealings directly with stressful demands. According to a literature conducted by Jaswant in 2011, it showed that civilian spouses are more inclined towards avoidance coping strategies. Now, next, we talk about resilience. Now, resilience refers to both the process and the outcome of a successfully adapting to difficult or challenging life experiences, according to the definition from APA, American Psychological Association. It is also about having the mental, emotional, and behavioral flexibility and ability to adjust both to external and internal demands of our body. Now, the primary features of it are having a connection with yourself, having strong communication, being emotionally, socially, physically competent, and being in control of your emotions. All right, so next we have the methodology that I employed for the process of this entire research. Now, the hypothesis was that there will be significant differences in the resilience levels of military spouses and civilian spouses. Moreover, civilian spouses will score higher in emotion-focused coping associated with stress than military spouses. Now, the present study, it uses the ANOVA test of significance because since there are 3 variables and t-test for the purpose of investigating the differences in coping with stress and resilience. Later, the sample size that I targeted was middle-aged spouses from 35 to 50. The total sample size was 150. 75 were military spouses and 75 were civilian spouses. The tools that I just mentioned were, the first was the BRS, Brief Resilience Scale. It comprises of 6 items. Items 1, 3, and 5 were positively worded, and 2, 4, 6 were negatively worded. The Cronbach's alpha ranged from 0.80 to 0.91, showing the validity and reliability of the test. The next test was the Brief Cope Inventory. This was also a 28-item self-report questionnaire, and it was designed to measure effective and ineffective ways to cope with a stressful life event. And also this had 3 dimensions. First was problem-focused coping, next was emotion-focused coping, and lastly was avoidance-focused coping. All right, so as you can see from the result table, this shows the mean and the standard deviation. The mean of military spouses from the results, it was devised that they definitely have an increased level of resilience than those of civilian spouses. Now, the potential causes for this is because they are brought up in that environment. They are made to live in such environments where they have to exhibit resilience. They have to show resilience. And especially when dealing with extreme situations, one needs to build a coping that works in the way. Now, as you can here see, is inferential statistics for resilience in military spouses and civilian spouses. Here we have dissected the 3 types of coping, and using Wilks lambda, the result was calculated. Now the p-value is less than 0.1. That showed that there was no statistical significance that was found in coping strategies. Hence, this could be due to the lack of a more representative sample. So this was found in the limitations of this research. Next, so it can be inferred that the sample size for the present study is 175 and standard deviation was 1.49 for resilience in the given sample population. Using t-test, it was inferred that the level of resilience of the sample size for the present study with f-test value as 0.282 with significance as 0.596 and t-value as 2.057. Hence, we can say that there was a large difference among the 2 samples. And lastly, let me quickly wrap up my presentation. Now, the results showed a high level of significance in the resilience in the 2 samples, with the military spouses scoring higher than the civilian spouses. However, no statistical significance was observed in the coping strategies adopted by military spouses as compared to civilian spouses, as I previously mentioned, pertaining to errors in filling the questionnaire or limitation of our sample size. Lastly, a negative correlation was also found between emotion-focused coping strategies and stress or resilience in military spouses. They suggest that as the employment of emotion-focused coping strategies increases, the levels of stress tend to decrease, while resilience levels also tends to increase, or we can say that it can go the other way around as well. Thank you for your patience. I look forward to any valuable feedback or questions.
Congratulations, ma'am. Very well presented. This kind of studies needs to be conducted more because, India is evolving as a superpower. Although it was there since ages as Vishwaguru, now we need to expand our research to new horizons, not just limited to regular themes and topics. So this kind of research further needs to be taken up. More comparative studies needs to be taken up, especially with the military and civilians and various other armed forces also, so that we can see whether there is a significant difference in various factors, whether really they are contributing, if they are contributing, to what extent, so that we can devise appropriate policies and programs to address the families and also the individuals. So a very good attempt. So we encourage you to come up with more such research work. Congratulations once again. Wish you all the success. And any other participants, if you have any suggestions, you can feel free to share. You can raise your hand or you can unmute yourself or you can use chat box. You can continue to keep sharing in chat box. Next presenter. Jyoti Makkar. You can unmute yourself, start your video, audio and presentation.
Hare Krishna to all. Prior to beginning my presentation, I would like to thank Almighty God who granted me this wonderful opportunity. I thank Ravindra sir, to whom Almighty granted me this opportunity. I thank Shri Holistic Health Foundation and Shri Research Institute and Center for Art, Science and Wellbeing. I also thank the wonderful participants. So my topic for presentation today is women mental health. So according to World Health Organization, what is health? Health includes physical well-being, mental well-being, and social well-being, apart from absence of disease or infirmity. And physical health and mental health, they are correlated. If a person has a good physical health, then the mental health will also be good. And if the mental health is good, physical health will be good. And if the mental health is not good, then it will somehow or the other affect your physical health also. So they are correlated. And the World Health Organization defines mental health as emotional well-being, psychological well-being, and social well-being. That is what is mental health, and it influences your cognition, thinking abilities. It influences your perception. It influences your judgmental making of judgments. And mental health is sound when a person is able to take his or her decisions, realizes his or her abilities and words, is productive, and can contribute something productive to the society, and can cope with the normal day-to-day stressors, can maintain healthy relationships. So all these are good when the mental health of a person is good. And according to National Institute of Health, the women are it's told that women are more prone to certain mental health problems as compared to men. The Those problems are prevalent in both women and men, but women are more susceptible to those problems as compared to the men. The ratio is more in prevalence is more in women, like depression, anxiety, and eating disorders. But where it comes to bipolar disorder, which is again a mood disorder, and schizophrenia, out here, the prevalence rate among women and men is not discriminated, not told. Now, coming to the women mental health problems, anxiety disorder, depression, and eating disorder. Coming to depression, depression is a mood disorder, and also there are certain mental health conditions which are very much unique to women, like it could be perimenopausal depression during the perimenopause phase, that is from the beginning of the menstruation period up till the menopause. Till that entire duration, some women are more likely to suffer from depression owing to hormonal changes in their body. Then there is this post-menopausal depression. 1 year after this menopause, the depression that proceeds from them, that is post-menopausal depression. Then there is this postpartum depression. Postpartum depression is after the birth of a child. That is postpartum depression. Certain ladies after childbirth, they develop depressive tendencies. They are unable to build this bonding with the emotional bonding with the child. That is, the lactation period begins and the mother is unable to feed the child properly, cater to the needs of the child properly, develop an emotional bond with the child. The mother does not cater to her own self needs and develops depressive symptoms, feeling of sadness, low mood, and suicidal tendencies are also there. So that is a postpartum depression. Then there is this perinatal depression. Perinatal depression is when the baby is in the mother's womb. From the beginning of the conception and the entire period, certain women, they suffer from depression. So that is perinatal depression. Now, depression is a mood disorder, and the hallmark of depression is persistent low mood, persistent and continuous low mood. There is a feeling of helplessness, there is a feeling of hopelessness, there is a feeling of worthlessness, and there is suicidal ideation, and also there is insomnia, like lack of sleep. There may be hypersomnia, person is sleeping too much. There may be lack of appetite or overeating, and there is anhedonia. Anhedonia is a lack of interest, loss of interest in activities once enjoyed. That is anhedonia. Social isolation, temper tantrums, all these are hallmarks of depression. And depression may be due to some other medical condition. That may be, it may be due to substance induced. It may be due to unspecified, not able to specify what is the cause of depression. It may be circumstantial. It could be anything. And there are various types of depression is a hallmark of various disorders. Like it could be major depressive disorder. It could be persistent depressive state. We call this condition dysthymia. And then coming to the next, that is anxiety. Anxiety, women are more likely to suffer from anxiety more as compared to men. Anxiety is persistent apprehension, fear, worry, tension about some perceived threat, which might or might not happen in the future. So anxiety is of various types: mild, moderate, and severe. Mild and moderate anxiety is like you're worried about your daily, day-to-day hassles and stressors. They tend to create worry in you. But the anxiety does not control you. In severe anxiety cases, the anxiety controls you. Mild and moderate anxiety, the person is able to function normally and ignore these worries. But in severe anxiety, it becomes a disorder. Because the anxiety is controlling you, the person becomes dysfunctional, and that is where the person needs treatment and help of psychiatrist, some psychologist, counselor. So that is where these mental health professionals come to help. So severe anxiety is has various disorders included, subcategorized under it. Like there could be panic disorder, And there could be agoraphobia. Agoraphobia is like the person fears closed spaces, going to closed spaces alone, open spaces alone, and traveling in, standing in queue, or even traveling in this public transport system. The fear that threatens the person is that what if something wrong happens? I will not be able to escape out there. There will be no help provided. That is the fear in agoraphobia. Then there is social phobia. Social phobia is the person, when the person interacts with someone, the person experiences anxiety. Then panic disorder. Then there is generalized anxiety disorder. Generalized anxiety disorder, you worry about everything. Day to day, small minor hassles also tend to cause anxiety in you. And it is called free floating anxiety. And the symptoms of anxiety are tachycardia, your heartbeats increase. Tachypnea, your respiration increase, respiratory rate increases. Then there is sweating, trembling of hands and feet. And these are the symptoms of anxiety. And chest pain. And and after anxiety, the other is eating disorder. Eating disorder is also very common in women. And there are the common eating disorders are anorexia nervosa, bulimia nervosa, and binge eating. Now, anorexia nervosa, what are the symptoms of anorexia nervosa? According to that particular age criteria of that subject, according to the gender of the subject, according to the developmental phase of that subject, the weight may be quite even below the normal weight. But yet, the subject's self-perception of her body weight is that she is very fat. The weight is even below normal for that particular developmental period and age. But that self-perception is faulty. Then there is very too much fear about gaining excessive weight. So the subject semi-starves herself. And this results in various medical problems also. It may result in amenorrhea also. Amenorrhea, you may not get proper menses. So your menstruation cycle, it may not work normally. So amenorrhea is also one of the symptoms that may result. And then another is bulimia nervosa. Bulimia nervosa, what are the hallmark of bulimia nervosa? Bulimia nervosa is for a specific period of time, take 2 hours. Specific period of time, the person is overeating as compared to what other normal individuals would eat according to the same situation, same scenario. You're overeating as compared to those normal individuals, and you're unable to control your eating. And after eating too much, which is beyond normal, you are worried that what if I gain too much weight? And to overcome that fear, you adopt some negative coping strategies like forceful purging out, forceful self-induced vomiting. The subject is taking laxatives. Laxatives are used for constipation. When a subject is suffering from constipation, usually laxatives are prescribed. So subject is self-administrating laxatives. Subject is taking diuretics. Diuretics are to increase the water content and salt content in your urine. So that is also, and when the exercises, and so the subject is adapting these negative coping strategies so that she does not gain excessive weight as a result of overeating. And these negative strategies and the overeating, these episodes occur concurrently at least once in a week for three months. So that is the case of bulimia nervosa. Then there is binge eating. Binge eating, as I told, that you're eating very much, which is even beyond the normal eating, and you're unable to control your eating process. That is called binge eating. So with that, I end my presentation. Thank you many folds for watching my session. If any questions, you can ask.
Congratulations, Dr. Jyoti Makar. Very insightful presentation on women's mental health.
Thank you, sir.
Participants, if you have any queries, feel free to share in chat box. We'll move on to our next presentation. Wish you all the success.
Thank you, sir.
Next, we have Syed Safura. We have two IDs, ma'am. Which one to be made co-host? You can raise your hand from that ID. And now you can unmute yourself, start your video and presentation. Meanwhile, other presenters are requested to share their topic, name, designation, organization, and place in chat box to host so that we can invite you.
Good afternoon, sir. Can you see my screen, sir? Am I audible, sir? Am I audible, sir?
You are audible. We can see you, we can hear you. You can share your poster by clicking on share screen.
Is it visible?
Now your poster is. Please continue.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Said Safura Andrabi, research scholar from the Department of Environmental Science, working in the Microbiology Research Laboratory, University of Kashmir. I am going to present the part of my research work entitled Metal Marvels, Unveiling Molecular and Proteomic Secrets from the Agricultural Soil Bacteria. Now, coming to the abstract, heavy metals are the silent killers of mankind and the cause of environmental pollution. Pollution due to heavy metals is a problem that may have negative consequences in the soil. The ability of some microorganisms to resist heavy metals makes them useful in bioremediation, which is one of the best procedures in removing the toxic metals from the environment. That is the use of metal resistant bacteria. Now, among the heavy metals, cadmium is recognized as one of the most toxic heavy metal, and chronic cadmium exposure it threatens the plant's animal and human health. Because certain bacteria can play an important role in remedying heavy metal pollution, it is essential to further our understanding and clone the cadmium adsorption and resistant genes from the microorganisms. In our study, we did the MIC determination, that is the minimum inhibitory concentration determination. Two methods were employed, plate dilution method and the micro dilution method. The results of which showed that the isolate Si11, it showed the highest MIC of 600 ppm. That is, it could resist the highest concentration of 600 ppm of cadmium and was taken for further molecular and proteomic characterization. The present study suggests that the isolate it possesses the highest heavy metal resistant ability against the cadmium and can be used for remediating the cadmium polluted soils. Now coming to the introduction. In agricultural environments, the presence of toxic metals poses the significant challenge to the soil health and the crop productivity. The accumulation of heavy metals such as cadmium, mercury, lead, arsenic in soil, it can result from the various anthropogenic activities, including the industrial processes, mining, and the use of agrochemicals like pesticides and fertilizers. These metals, they not only disrupt the soil ecosystems, but they also pose the risk to the human health through the food contamination. In order to mitigate the adverse effects of toxic metals on agricultural systems, understanding the mechanism of tolerance in soil bacteria it's very important because the bacteria they play the vital role in the soil remediation by detoxifying the heavy metals through their various molecular and proteomic mechanisms. By characterizing the molecular and proteomic profiles of the metal tolerant bacteria, which were isolated from the agricultural soil, we can gain the valuable insights into their adaptive strategies and potential applications in bioremediation and sustainable agriculture. In this study, we present the results of our investigation into the cadmium tolerant bacteria, which were isolated from the agricultural soil, which was the saffron soil, focusing on their molecular and the proteomic characterization. Now, coming to the methodology, firstly, we cultured the bacterial isolates on the nutrient agar. Then, we did the primary screening. In this, we cultured the bacteria in the absence and the in presence of the heavy metal cadmium. Then, the sensitive species they were screened out, and the which were resistant isolates they were further taken to the secondary screening, for which the microdilution method was utilized in the 96 well microtiter plate. And after that, we got the highly resistant heavy metal strain, that is Si11, which could resist up to about 600 ppm of cadmium. So we did the molecular characterization of that isolate, for which we did the DNA extraction from that, and afterwards PCR amplification using the 27F and 1429R reverse forward and reverse primers. Then the PCR product it was electrophoresed on the gel, and we got the band, and the PCR product it was sent for the 16SR DNA sequencing, which is the basic of the species identification, and the result is still awaiting. Then for the proteomic characterization, we cultured the highly heavy metal resistant bacteria, that is the Si11 isolate in Luria bertini broth in the absence and in the presence of the heavy metal cadmium. Then after that, we did the protein extraction, and after that, the protein product it was subject to the SDS page electrophoresis. And now coming to the results. As you can see on my screen, this is the image of the bacterial isolate which was grown on the nutrient agar plate. These small colonies, these are the pure cultures, that is, they represent a single pure colony, and we can say that it is the pure isolate without any contamination. And then it's the next is the image that is showing that different parts of the plate have been made. And at some parts there is no colony, that is the isolate that is very sensitive and it could not grow on the metal supplemented plate, and where you can see the growth it means they are resistant to the metal. Now coming to the image DNA and PCR amplification, the left side image, it represents the DNA band. We can see the light colored, white color bands. These represent the DNA of the isolate, and from the right side, where it is written Si11 and ladder represents the known molecular weight of the PCR product, and from here we can see that our PCR product of the isolate, it was around 1500 base pair size. Now coming to the proteomic results, we can see that the image has the 5 lanes. Lane 1, it represents the ladder, that is the known molecular weight of the protein. It has the range of about 16 kilodalton to 250 kilodalton. Then coming to the control cadmium, this image represents the difference in the proteomic or the protein profiles of the isolate in the presence and absence of cadmium. So we can see that different bands, they were expressed in presence of the cadmium, and different proteins that were expressed in the absence of cadmium. So these bands, these blue color bands, if we see the around 40 at around 45 kilodalton, in lane 4, the protein was expressed in presence of in absence of cadmium, but it is not present in presence of the cadmium. So we excised that band, and likewise we excised the band at around 16 kilodalton, which was present in the presence of the cadmium, expressed in the presence of cadmium. It was sent to the Rajiv Gandhi Center of Biotechnology, Kerala, for the LCMS characterization, and the results are still awaiting. Now, coming to the conclusion, this study identified a bacterial isolate which exhibits the highest MIC for cadmium at around 600 ppm. The findings suggest that this bacterial isolate, it could be employed for the remediation of cadmium contaminated soils. Further research is required to identify the genes and proteins responsible for the resistance mechanisms. These genes, they can be cloned into the other organisms in order to remediate the cadmium or the other heavy metal contaminated soils. Now coming to the acknowledgement, I would like to thank Head Department of Environmental Science, University of Kashmir, Microbiology Research Laboratory Quad, and MABL Lab Department of Nanotechnology, University of Kashmir, for providing all the necessary facilities which were required to accomplish the work. And lastly, I would like to thank the coordinator and moderator of the conference, Dr. Ravindra, for providing me another opportunity to present my research work in this conference. Thank you. Thank you all for listening. Thank you once again.
Congratulations, Sayed Safura. Wonderful.
Thank you, sir.
We wish you all the success for your future endeavors.
Thank you, sir.
Then we'll move on to our next presentation. If you have any queries, suggestions, you can feel free to share in chat box. You can stop sharing now, and so next we have with us Zainab Arshad. Zainab Arshad, you can unmute yourself, start your video and presentation along with brief introduction. You can unmute yourself. Zainab? Are you ready with the presentation? You are muted, ma. Kindly do not close any forms because you will only face difficulty. Once closed, we cannot raise this. You only concentrate on your presentation. Do not change any settings. You are muted, ma. You have to unmute yourself. Zainab, unmute yourself. We can't hear you. You are muted. Yeah,
Now I start.
now you can introduce yourself. You have PPT?
No, I give oral presentation.
Okay. Go ahead.
I give my introduction. Myself, Zainab Arshad from University of Punjab, Lahore, Pakistan. I am here to present what is personal hygiene, factors that can negatively impact our personal hygiene, and how it related to SDGs Goal 3.1. So let's start. Personal hygiene refers to the practices that we do to keep ourselves clean and healthy. It includes things like washing hands, brushing teeth, taking regular showers, and wearing clean clothes. It's very important for preventing our overall well-being. Good personal hygiene is one of the best way to protect yourself from getting infectious diseases. Factors that negatively impact personal hygiene. First of all, mental health. Mental health means psychotic disorders, lack of access of clean water and sanitation facilities, poverty, living with certain conditions, depression, drug, or using alcohol or disorders. Socioeconomic status like limited resources, our society, how it impact in our personal hygiene, how politics how it impact our personal hygiene. Education and awareness. Education and awareness is the essential point that affect our personal hygiene. If we have no education about personal hygiene, like previous pandemic COVID, if we have no education about that, how we protect, how we save ourselves from that. Education is essential for everything, for every disease, for every infectious, like we discuss about COVID. Culture and social norms. How culture and social norms affect our personal hygiene. Physical and mental conditions is the main which affect our health and our personal hygiene. Or environmental factors, availability and affordability of hygiene products. If we have no financial stability, so how we perceive our products that save us from diseases, like in COVID, most of us do not have financial stability that help us to maintain our health strong. So that's the my point, availability and affordability of hygiene products. Conditions that poor hygiene can signal. Mental health disorder like depression and anxiety disorder that affect our personal hygiene. Physical health conditions like those people who have chronic illness, diabetes and hormonal imbalance that give effect our personal hygiene. Substance abuse, drug addiction, like those people are drug addicted, they don't concentrate on their personal hygiene, and that affect their health indirectly. Cognitive decline, like dementia, those people who are affected from dementia, they don't have know how they maintain their health. They, of course, due to depression, physical disabilities. So it's very important to maintain our
We can't hear you, ma. I think there is some network problem. Zainab? Are you still connected, ma? You are muted. Kindly unmute.
Sorry, that signal issues, and now I concluded my topic, why I discuss about personal hygiene, because personal hygiene is very important for our health, and its awareness in our society is very important for maintaining our health. Thank you.
Thank you, Zainab, for sharing, for your insightful presentation. And one query from my side: how do you see the a personal hygiene or availability of personal hygiene products comparatively at an international level or international standards? How do you see the availability or the infrastructure or the facilities in your country?
In my country, we maintain personal hygiene awareness, and by making seminars. Awareness to the people is very important. In our society, there is a lack of education. That's why people don't know about how to maintain their personal hygiene. So awareness and education is very important for maintaining personal hygiene.
Yeah, it's awareness is very important. How about the stigma? What are the various stigmas prevalent in the society or community? How you are addressing in overcoming the stigma? Can you share some insights? Zainab?
Yes, sir.
There might be a lot of stigma prevalent in the society, right? Regarding talking or about personal hygiene. So how you are addressing those stigmas or kind of taboos in the society?
Like many stigmas, there are different social norms and traditions, and they cooperate with according to their religion. And in our religion, like we face many stigmas, like we did offer prayer 5 times, and we did wadu that help in our personal hygiene. And many of people stigmatize us, what is this? But internationally, it's a very good exercise for your personal hygiene, like cleaning your body 5 times. It's very good for your health, and many of people stigmatize us because of that.
Yeah, thank you, Zainab. Congratulations once again for your presentation. And we wish you all the success for your future endeavors as well.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, then we'll move on to our next presentation. Kindly do not close any windows like registration window. Once it is closed, then others will be not able to fill the form. When you are made co-host, kindly make sure that you are not closing any windows. Kindly focus on your unmuting and switching on your video and sharing your presentation. Do not change any settings. So next we have with us Astima Pagare. You can raise your hand. Are you available? Yeah. And now you can unmute yourself. start your video and presentation with your brief introduction. Yeah, Smita Pagare. In the meanwhile, other presenters kindly request to share your details in the chat box. As per the queue in the chat box, we'll be inviting you one by one. Yeah, you can switch on your video, ma. Your PPT is visible. Yes. Now you can start your presentation. Yeah.
Yes. Sir, my video and my PPT both are visible?
It's clear. Please continue.
Yes. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Smita Pagare. I'm doing my PhD in Kavitri Bahinabai Chaudhary, North Maharashtra University, Jalgaon. And my presentation topic is work-life balance of female doctors during their menstruation cycle. As we know, this research aims at analyzing how female doctors balance their work and life while they are on their periods. On an average, a woman spends 3,000 days of her life almost menstruating, which is almost 8 years of her lifespan. So this increases the chances of women are at their workplace while they are menstruating. And also the WASH organization, which is a German-based NGO. It celebrates the Menstrual Hygiene Day on 28th of May because menstruation cycle has 28 days and menstruation can averagely last for 5 days. So that's why 28 May it is. And they are celebrating the Menstrual Hygiene Day from 2014. Periods have significant impact on women's physical and emotional health, which can eventually impact on their ability to balance their work and life effectively. As we know, the medical profession, especially the doctor profession, is highly demanding in nature. So the work shifts, emergency service rotations, and long working hours are the reason why it makes female doctors to balance their work and life, and which makes this job very stressful. So female doctors avoid to ask for help at their workplace. This is because of there is a social stigma to menstruation, and they also have a fear when if they ask for a help at their workplace, they might get fired, or even for a flexible working hours, they are not permitted. So there are some strategies, and these are the literature reviews I have. These are the papers I have reviewed for this topic, and there are some strategies and suggestions to how to deal with period pain by developing good eating habits and making time to leisure activities, even it's a stressful job, and also the pain women experience while they are menstruating can be minimized by practicing these activities, and by taking human papilloma virus vaccination, female can avoid the cervical cancer chances, and also by focusing on the products they are using while they are menstruating can make a difference, a huge difference in their reproductive health also. And in case of female are suffering from anemia, it can leads to even more painful uh, periods. So taking some substitutes like iron consumption more in diet can neglect the anemia. And also organization or the hospitals where the female doctors are working can also help female doctors to adapt or to balance between the work life. They can do is uh, they can offer a menstruation leave to a working woman, and also flexible working hours can make a woman to balance between work and life effectively. And also the administration can provide a hygiene should provide hygienic and good condition toilets for female employees, which is very necessary. And environment in any profession has a very direct impact on employees productivity and in their balancing their work and life. So it is important to it is important for the organization to participate in employee friendly policies, and also for the HR department also. That's it. Thank you so much, sir. These are the references I have used for this presentation. Thank you.
Congratulations, ma'am. Very nice topic you have chosen. It is also very much pertinent because half of the population is female population, and more female workforce is joining the workforce. So it is very much relevant that we need to come up these policies. Now already few organizations are implementing this 3-day period leave. In some organizations recently I also came to know. And
Yes, sir.
yeah, so and in some organizations they are recommending for 5-day leave. So
Yeah.
that is also one good move. So similarly, these kind of initiatives have to be taken. And for that, we definitely, these kind of researchers will definitely help the policy makers to come up with a policy or a program that can empower women.
For sure, sir. And actually, the Supreme Court had rejected the petition for menstrual leave. So I think this research can give the ground-based evidence why it is important for female employees. So yeah, I'm trying to get it. So yes, sir.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, things are on the positive side. Soon,
yes, sir.
We are going to get much more relief for the women, especially even not only maternal leave for mothers, but also now there is proposal for even fathers also, because
yes, sir. Paternal leaves, we call it. Yes, sir.
So mothers are not able to take care alone. So fathers are also being granted leave to take care of both mother and child. So similar, we need to take up more research and show with evidence, along with statistics, some case studies, so that we can, substantiate our research for, acting as a pressure group for bringing up more policies and programs.
Yes. Thank you so much, sir, for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you, ma'am. Congratulations once again. We wish you all the success.
Thank you.
Then we'll move on to our next session. Yeah, Kavyasri, you can unmute yourself. Start your video and presentation, ma.
Yes, sir. I hope the screen is visible.
Yes, ma, but
Yeah.
we can't see your PPT. We can see your controls.
Now,
Yeah, now it's fine.
all right. Good afternoon, one and all present here. I am Koturu Kavishri from IFSW, Amity University, Noida. And my topic for research is anamorphosis, identity transformation through animation. To introduce the topic, from relaxing slice of life to mecha battles, anime's diverse content has captivated the audiences worldwide. So, anime is a famous form of Japanese animation that has seen a new wave of popularity, which is sweeping the worlds of internet, fashion, and media, and that is an undeniable factor. So, with the uptake of influence in far corners of the globe, it becomes a new focal point for scientific community to discuss, especially from psychological standpoint, to see the levels and types of effects that the engagement with this type of content that has with people. So the aim of my study is to the was to investigate the subjective nature of anime with respect to the fans' said experiences in terms of inspiration to work hard, empathy, creativity, relaxing effect of watching anime, along with the entailed benefits. So there were certain literature reviews, which was Cillian Dadakoglu and his colleagues in 2022 researched on understanding the secondary school pupils' perceptions of fundamental principles about anime and manga. They discovered that in both, respectively, core values were in fact portrayed, and this could serve as a substitute for value of education and moral development. Another study was Yamato's 2015, where he stated that the person may be able to participate in the anime, comics, and other gaming events can actually go through socialization and feel at ease doing so while receiving the positive reinforcement to continuing it. So there were certain research gaps as this is a very new topic when it comes to psychological research. But there were certain fields in psychology, such as social psychology, where the research is tending towards fan identity, community, empathy, and pro social behavior. On the other hand, personality based studies are talking about self esteem, identity exploration, coping, and emotion regulation. Then cognitive psychology has a different perspective, like narrative engagement and how that affects fans. And memory related studies, attention perception is also very highly researched topics. The fresher the field of media psychology is now revolving around positive influence of anime on mental health and the possibilities of how stereotypes and socializations affect on the watchers. Coming to the methodology, the study that I chose involves deductive thematic analysis for major themes, and for sub themes, a reflexive thematic analysis were used. So, the type of research is phenomenological research, wherein the real experiences of the participants were from recorded, and then all the data is summed up to the main findings, which are specific to the phenomena and the focus of the study. The structured interview was conducted on 20 college going participants who are currently residing in Delhi NCR with both convenience and snowball sampling. There were a total of 10 items with which the participants answered at length, and the items were self designed with the approval of the respective guide. So, all the necessary ethical considerations were taken care, and along with the confidentiality of the responses, and consent was taken with extreme regard. So my results say that the qualitative analysis were done manually from the recorded responses, which were first transcribed and then segregating them in sub-themes and finally themes. This transcription was done separately per participant, and then after finding the themes, the frequency was calculated. The sub-themes are checked and were critically evaluated before grouping them into the themes. So a total of 54 sub-themes as given in the map, and 7 major themes were observed. And the results suggest that majority of participants report that anime has been a great medium for motivation and its emphasis on pro-social behavior, which is aiding in creativity and critical thinking. Apart from that, watching anime is a way to relax and unwind, source for escapism, and has helped individuals to break the ice when meeting people for the first time, as it can help people to converse, and it also ponders over the positive redirection in life. So understanding that there is a need to research about anime, because knowing these effects, both the positive and like advantages, so we can enhance those advantages, and for understanding the disadvantages we can avoid any negative consequences and overall bring about awareness and reduce the stereotyping of people who engage with it. Noticeably, there have been emphasis on also the need to have limited consumption, as excessive amount of watching anime can also have negative effects on individuals, such as procrastination of important work and also lack of interaction with other individuals in the person's life. So the limitations of this research that I've listed is the people who are living in Delhi NCR were the sole participants and no other regions were considered. Apart from that, people from other age groups, such as children from 8 to 17-year-olds, and non-English speakers were also excluded in the research. So overall, to conclude, the given graphs that most number of participants express that anime has influenced them in regarding to working hard and the importance of creativity and understanding the relaxation is also a frequency of 11, while the next highest mention was about sense of belonging, which is 9, positive shift in life with 7, and
Bhavya, we can't hear you and see you. Bhavya, are you still connected? Bhavya, are you connected?
yes, sir.
Yeah.
Was the presentation not available?
Oh, that last slide conclusion, na?
Yeah.
Yeah, at that time your video was off as well as your audio was not, you were not audible for the last slide.
All right, sir. I will conclude it again.
And also switch on your video.
Yes, sir.
In the meanwhile, other presenters, kindly share your details in chat box. Those who are waiting for your presentation.
So is it visible now?
Not yet, ma'am. Yeah, now it's visible. You can go to previous slide, conclusion.
Yes, sir. From the given graphs, the most number of participants expressed that anime has influenced them in regarding to working hard. And it also helped them understand the importance of creativity. And for relaxation, they all scored a frequency of 11, while the next highest mention is for sense of belonging with 9, positive shift in life with 7, empathy for 3, and 1 for critical thinking. So there is a need to have more studies and researches on these topics related to anime in psychological field, as this can help with understanding fan motivations and identities, mental health and well-being, social stigma and community support, and last but not least, body image and representation. So the conclusion of this paper states that anime does have an inspiring effect towards hard work and can also inspire creativity in individuals and has a relaxing impact on the audience. So by this, I conclude my presentation. Thank you, Dr. Ravinder sir, for giving me this opportunity.
Yeah, congratulations, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Wish you all the success. Very well presented. Now we'll move on to other presentation. Meanwhile, if you have any suggestions, comments, feel free to share in chat box. So next we have Virendra Kumar ji. He is one of the active member, active presenter, and also participants who have contributed immensely to our platform regularly. Virendra Kumar ji, you can unmute yourself, start your video and presentation.
Yes, sir. I'm connected through 2 devices, so I'll be using the audio of my mobile and I'll share from my laptop.
Okay, I will give you permission.
You have please enable my second device also.
Now
Okay.
you can use both.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Well, I have shared my screen. I hope it is visible to all.
Yes, sir. Please continue.
Well, it's a very important topic related to human trafficking, the Immoral Traffic Prevention Act 1956. It's related to prostitution. The prostitution itself is not illegal in India. Prostitution is legal. It is not even an offense because women are considered as victims. However, some things that are related to prostitution, they are barred in India. So we shall see the detailed legal provisions. It's a small act of 25 sections. It has been amended twice in India, and third time the bill was passed, but that lapsed in 2006. So we shall see what are the provisions and say offenses under this act. So Immoral Traffic Prevention Act, this name was given in 1986. Actually, the original act was Suppression of All India Suppression of Immoral Traffic Act, that is SITA, but the name was changed, and after 30 years, the act was renamed as Immoral Traffic Prevention Act. So we can consider it as an amendment of the previous act. So it is a result of signing by India of the United Nations Declaration in 1950 in New York on the suppression of trafficking. So India became signatory in 1950, and therefore in 1956 this act was passed. Even in Indian Constitution, this human trafficking is banned under Article 23A. So this act was passed to give effect to that constitutional mandate. The laws were intended as a means of limiting and eventually abolishing prostitution in India by gradually criminalizing various aspects of sex work. So this was the original intention. And as per this international convention that was ratified, the government of India ratified this International Convention for the Suppression of Immoral Traffic in Persons and the Exploitation of the Prostitution of Others. So in 1956, the original name that was given was Suppression of Immoral Traffic in Women and Girls Act 1956. Then the act was made gender neutral. So now it refers not only to women and girls, but the words women and girls have been dropped from many sections, and now it is gender neutral also. So immoral traffic in, say, boys also is banned. So it applies to minor children also. So we also have, besides this, a general law, that is Indian Penal Code, and kidnapping, abduction, and many other things are, say, considered criminal offenses under 341, 342 of IPC. So this CETA was amended in 1986 and it was renamed. So now the new name is Immoral Traffic Prevention Act. So Act states the illegality of prostitution. So although it is illegal, but it is not made criminal because women are considered as victims. And the punishment for owning any such related establishment, that is brothels, etc. So we shall see some related definitions also. Any person involved in any phase of the chain activities like recruiting, transporting, transferring, harboring, or receiving of people for the purpose of prostitution is also liable to be punished. If a person is found guilty of involving a child in any such activity, he or she is punishable by law and may be imprisoned for 7 or more years. The definition of child was even not uniform. Earlier it was below 16 years. In 2006 bill, it was supposed to be raised to 18 years. So sexual abuse or forced prostitution. So following this Immoral Traffic Prevention Act, many other organizations took initiatives to end the trafficking of people for the offensive crime of sexual abuse or forced prostitution. Then there was a bill. This bill was never, say, made an act, because in 2006 some amendments were proposed. So we shall see what are the, say, inadequacies of the present act and what amendments were proposed but did not come into effect. So the bill was referred to parliamentary committee but was not passed, and eventually it lapsed. So Immoral Traffic Prevention Amendment Bill 2006 is a revised version of the Immoral Traffic Prevention Act 1986. And this amendment bill deletes provisions that penalize prostitutes for soliciting clients. In India, prostitution is legal, but in public places, soliciting is not allowed. So it penalizes any person visiting a brothel for the purpose of sexual exploitation of traffic victims. That was proposed. All offenses listed in the bill would be tried in camera. That is, the public would be excluded from attending the trial. So this was effected for rape victims. But as far as the, say, in-camera trials for prostitutes are concerned, it was not effected. This bill punishes trafficking for the purpose of prostitution. Trafficking for other purposes, such as bonded labor and domestic work, are not covered by the bill. For that, we have other laws, that is Bonded Labor Abolition Act 1970. Another act is there in India, which is covered under the labor laws. The bill constitutes authorities at the center and state level to combat trafficking. However, it does not elaborate on the role, function, and composition of these authorities. So this was also not passed. It just remained a bill. So the highlights of the bill were that this amendment amends the Immoral Traffic Prevention Act to combat trafficking and sexual exploitation for commercial purposes. The bill deletes provisions that penalize prostitutes for soliciting clients. So this has not yet come into effect. It penalizes any person visiting a brothel for the purpose of sexual exploitation of trafficked victims. And all offenses listed in the bill would be tried in camera. That is, the public would be excluded from attending the trial. And the term trafficking in persons has been defined with a provision for punishing any person who is guilty of the offense of trafficking in persons for the purpose of prostitution. This law is gender neutral already. That amendment was effected in 1987. Therefore, trafficking in is not restricted only to women or girls, but even trafficking of, say, boys is also punishable in India. The bill constitutes authorities at the center and state level to combat trafficking. Now we shall see the key issues and analysis of this. So while prostitution is not an offense, but practicing it in a brothel or within 200 meters of any public place is illegal. Even soliciting customers. There seems to be a lack of clarity on whether prostitution ought to be a legitimate way of earning a living if entered into by choice. the law is not yet clear because there it is considered multi-million-dollar industry, one of the largest sex industries in the world. And there are problems of AIDS, health of sex workers, and there are also problems of taxation, that is whether that can be considered a legitimate profession or not. These are the gray areas. Penalizing clients who visit prostitutes could drive the sector underground, preventing legal channels of support to victims or trafficking. And there are therefore demands that it should be legalized. This bill punishes trafficking for the purpose of prostitution. Trafficking for other purposes such as bonded labor and domestic work are not covered by the bill. That is the inadequacy of the 2006 bill. Rank of special police officer would enforce the act is lowered from inspector to sub-inspector, and such powers delegated to junior officers could lead to greater harassment, particularly of sex workers. The bill constitutes authorities at the center and state level to combat trafficking. However, it does not elaborate on the role, function, and composition of these authorities. Now we come to the initiatives to combat trafficking of women and children. So apart from now we have a new law in India, that is Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, which has chapter 5 relating to offences relating to women and children, and that is that will be effected as per the Gazette notification of 24th February. It would come into effect from 1st July, and that would repeal the 160 years old Indian Penal Code. This is a special law that is relating to immoral trafficking. So ITPA, various other initiatives have been taken up by the government and other concerned authorities. So some are this National Plan of Action to Combat Trafficking and Commercial Sexual Exploitation of Women and Children, 1998 was formulated. This is the national plan to reduce it. Ministry of Home Affairs has set up a dedicated cell for prevention of trafficking. Ministry of Women and Child Development, that is MWCD, along with the Ministry of External Affairs, has endeavored to create special task forces to combat cross-border trafficking, that is import-export of women. The MWCD, in collaboration with NIPCCD and UNICEF, has developed 3 manuals for judicial handbook on combating trafficking of women and children for commercial sexual exploitation. So we can summarize that Immoral Traffic Prevention Act was first enacted in 1956, according to which sexual exploitation of any male or female is a cognizable offense. Now the act is gender neutral in as per the 1987 amendment. All India Suppression of Immoral Traffic Act, that is SITA, was passed in 1956. That was the original name, but there were some criticisms and name was controversial, so that was changed. For the prohibition of human trafficking, it was later amendment in 1986, and Immoral Traffic Prevention Act was passed. As far as the constitutional provision is concerned, so Article 23(1), Clause 1, trafficking in human beings or persons is prohibited in India, and forced or illegal transfer of people for the purpose of labor or other illegal activities is called human trafficking. This is the definition, that is forced or illegal transfer of people. It includes for labor as well as other illegal activities. Now we see the arrangement. It has 25 sections and a schedule. So section 2A is omitted. Section 2 gives some important definitions which we shall see in detail. Section 3 is punishment for keeping a brothel or allowing premises to be used as brothel. Punishment for living on the earnings of prostitution. Procuring, inducing, or taking person for the sake of prostitution. Detaining a person in premises where prostitution is carried on. Prostitution in or in the vicinity of public places. Seducing or soliciting for purpose of prostitution. This was supposed to be repealed, but has not yet been repealed after 2006 as per that bill, since it was not passed into an act. Seduction of a person in custody. Section 10 is omitted. 10A is introduced through amendment. Detention in a corrective institution. Notification of address of previously convicted offenders. Section 12 is omitted. Section 13 is special police officer and advisory body. The offences under this act are cognizable. Search without warrant. Rescue of person, that is in 16. Section 17 is about intermediate custody of persons removed under Section 15 or rescued under Section 16. Section 17A prescribes the conditions to be observed before placing persons rescued under Section 16 to parents Section 16 to parents or guardians. 18 is closure of brothel and eviction of offenders from the premises. 19 is application for being kept in a protective home or provided care and protection by court. 20 is removal of prostitute from any place. 21 prescribes about protective homes for rescued women. For children, we have separate children protection homes. For juvenile delinquents also, these children protection homes are there. That means there are orphan as well as under trial children, male children. For women, there are separate protection homes. For 21A is for production of records, 22 provides for trials, and 22A is power to establish special courts. 22AA is power of central government to establish special courts. 22B is power of court to try cases summarily. So summary procedure is there as far as trial is concerned. That is Sanshipta Vicharan, the shortest trial procedure available in India. Power to make rules, that is 23. And 24 is act not to be in derogation of certain other acts. And 25 is repeal and savings. And finally, there is a schedule. Now we see these provisions in detail. So this act is to provide in pursuance of the International Convention signed in New York on the 9th day of May 1950. That is, say, after independence, India became signatory to this for the prevention of immoral traffic. Now, the words women and girls were dropped in 1987, and now this is gender neutral law. Be it enacted by Parliament in the 7th year of the Republic of India as follows. So this act was, say, extended to union territories also. This act may be called the Immoral Traffic Prevention Act 1956. So this earlier name was SITA, that is Suppression of Immoral Traffic. Now the act has been renamed as ITPA. It extends to the whole of India. This section shall come into force at once, and the remaining provisions of this act shall come into force on such date as the central government may, by notification in the official gazette, appoint. So this came into effect from 1958. The important definitions. First definition is that of brothel. So brothel includes any house, room, conveyance, or place of, or any portion of any house, room, conveyance, or place which is used for purposes of sexual exploitation or abuse for the gain or of another person or for the mutual gain of two or more prostitutes. Child is defined here means a person who has not completed the age of 16 years. It was supposed to be raised to 18, but that bill has not yet been passed. Then there is corrective institution. So it means an institution by whatever name called, being an institution established or licensed as such under section 21, in which persons who are in need of correction may be detained under the act, and includes a shelter where under trials may be kept in pursuance of this act. So the prostitutes that are, say, rescued are placed in corrective institution. Magistrate means a magistrate specified in the second column of the schedule as being competent to exercise the powers conferred by the section in which the expression occurs and which is specified in the first column of the schedule. Now, under the Bharatiya Nagrik Suraksha Sanhita, that is BNSS, which will come into effect from 1st July, the metropolitan magistrates will be abolished, or they will be renamed as judicial magistrates. So this magisterial and even the say additional and assistant sessions judges will not be there. So there will be change in the magisterial structure also as per the BNSS from 2024 this year. Major means a person who has completed the age of 18 years. Minor means a person who has completed the age of 16 years but has not completed the age of 18 years. As far as kidnapping and abduction are concerned, so in India, kidnapping is of people below 18 years and abduction is of people above 18 years. Prescribed means prescribed by rules made under this act. So the governments are given some powers to prescribe rules. Prostitution means the sexual exploitation or abuse of persons for commercial purpose, and the expression prostitute shall be construed accordingly. Protective home means an institution by whatever name called, being an institution established or licensed as such under section 21, in which persons who are in need of care and protection may be kept under this act, and where appropriate, technically qualified persons, equipment, and other facilities have been provided, but does not include a shelter where under trials may be kept in pursuance of this act. So protective home is different from, say, this under trial home, and there are separate homes for male as well as for female. Even there is age-wise segregation or a corrective institution. So protective home is different from corrective institution. Section 2A pertain to only to Jammu and Kashmir. So this enactment not extend. So that has been omitted as per this Jammu and Kashmir reorganization adaptation of Central Laws Order 2020. And now this is applicable to Jammu and Kashmir as well as Ladakh also. So separate section 2A has been dropped. Punishment for keeping brothel or allowing premises to be used as a brothel. So as far as the trafficking is concerned, so what we call as pimps or dalal or dalla, so they have got more punishment as compared to prostitutes who are considered only the victims. So any person who keeps, manages or acts or assists in keeping or management or a brothel shall be punishable on first conviction with rigorous imprisonment for a term of not less than 1 year and not more than 3 years, and also with fine which may extend to 2,000 rupees. And in the event of a second or subsequent conviction, with rigorous imprisonment for a term of not less than 2 years and not more than 5 years, and also with fine which may extend to 2,000 rupees. So punishment is 1 to 3 years, and it could extend maximum up to say 2 to 5 years. Any person who, being the tenant, lessee, occupier, or person in charge of any premises, uses or knowingly allows any other person to use such premises or any part thereof as a brothel, or being the owner, lessor, or landlord of premises, or the agent of such owner, lessor, or landlord, lets the same or any part thereof with the knowledge that the same or any part thereof is intended to be used as a brothel, or is willfully a party to the use of such premises or any part thereof as a brothel, shall be punishable on first conviction with imprisonment for a term which may extend to 2 years and with fine which may extend to 2,000 rupees. And in the event of a second or subsequent conviction, with rigorous imprisonment for a term which may extend to 5 years and also with fine. So it has similar provisions like in subsection 1. 2A punishment is more. This clause, subsection 2A has been added through amendment, that is in 1987, and for the subsection of for the purposes of subsection 2, it shall be presumed until the contrary is proved that any person referred to in clause A or clause B of that subsection is knowingly allowing the premises or any part thereof to be used as a brothel, or as the case may be, has knowledge that the premises or any part thereof are being used as a brothel, if a report is published in a newspaper having circulation in the area in which such person resides, to the effect that the premises or any part thereof have been found to be used for prostitution as a result of a search made under this act. So the police officers are also given the powers of searching, or a copy of the list of all things found during the search referred to in clause A is given to such person. So this section was added in 1987 subsection. Under subsection 3, notwithstanding anything contained in any other law for the time being in force, on conviction of any person referred to in clause A or clause B of subsection 2 of any offence under that subsection in respect or of any premises or any part thereof, any lessee, any lease or agreement under which such premises have been leased out or are held or occupied at the time of the commission of the offence shall become void and inoperative with effect from the date of the said conviction. So this is the effect, that this lease or agreement also may become void. The fourth section is punishment for living on the earnings of prostitution. That is the other people who are exploiting the prostitute. So any person over the age of 18 years who knowingly lives wholly or in part on the earnings of the prostitution of any other person, that means the prostitutes themselves are not considered because they are considered victims, so that is not illegal, but other people who are living on the earnings of say such persons shall be punishable with imprisonment for a term which may extend to 2 years, or with fine which may extend to 1,000 rupees, or with both. And where such earnings refer to the prostitution of a child or a minor, shall be punishable with imprisonment for a term of not less than 7 years and not less than 7 years and not more than 10 years. So in case of children, that is those who are living on the earnings of child prostitutes, so they are punishable severely, that is 7 to 10 years. Where any person over the age of 18 years is proved to be living with or to be habitually in the company of a prostitute, or to have exercised control, direction, or influence over the movements of a prostitute in such a manner as to show that such person is aiding, abetting, or compelling her prostitution, or to be acting as a tout or pimp. Here we get these two words, that is tout or pimp on behalf of a prostitute. It shall be presumed until the contrary is proved that such person is knowingly living on the earnings of prostitution of another person within the meaning of subsection 1. So this is the presumption as far as the evidence is concerned. Section 5 is procuring, that is procurement, inducing or taking person for the sake of prostitution. Again, this is gender neutral by dropping the words woman or girl. So any person who procures or attempts to procure a person, whether with or without his consent for the purpose of prostitution, or induces a person to go from any place with the intent that he may, for the purpose of prostitution, become the inmate of or frequent a brothel, or takes or attempts to take a person or causes a person to be taken from one place to another with a view to his carrying on or being brought up to carry on prostitution, or causes or induces a person to carry on prostitution. So punishment is shall be punishable on conviction with rigorous imprisonment for a term of not less than 3 years and with not more than 7 years, and also with fine which may extend to 2,000 rupees. And if any offence under this subsection is committed against the will of any person, the punishment of imprisonment for a term of 7 years shall extend to imprisonment for a term of 14 years. That is, the will of the prostitute shall also be concerned as far as the sentencing is concerned, whether it is with her will or against the will of, and here it is any person, that is gender neutral. Provided that if the person in respect of whom an offence committed under this subsection is a child, the punishment provided under this subsection shall extend to rigorous imprisonment for a term of not less than 7 years, but may extend to life. So maximum punishment under this act is life imprisonment. And is a minor, then the punishment provided under this subsection shall extend to rigorous imprisonment for a term of not less than 7 years and not more than 14 years. So there is separate punishment for age less than 16 years and between age 16 to 18. An offence under this section shall be triable in the place from which a person is procured, induced to go, taken or caused to be taken, or from which an attempt to procure or take such person is made, or in the place to which he may have gone as a result of the inducement or to which he is taken or caused to be taken, or an attempt to take him is made. Section 6 is detaining a person in premises where prostitution is carried on. So illegal detention is also punishable. Any person who detains any other person, whether with or without his consent, in any brothel or in or upon any premises with intent that such person may have sexual intercourse with a person who is not the spouse of such person, shall be punishable on conviction with imprisonment of either description for a term which shall not be less than 7 years, but which may extend maybe for life, or for a term which may extend to 10 years, and shall also be liable to fine. And provided that the court may, for adequate and special reasons to be mentioned in the judgment, impose a sentence of imprisonment for a term of less than 7 years. So this is as far as illegal detention is concerned. Under subsection 2, where any person is found to be a child in a brothel, it shall be presumed, unless the contrary is proved, that he has committed an offence under subsection 1. This is as far as the evidence is concerned. Where a child or minor found in a brothel is on medical examination detected to have been sexually abused, it shall be presumed, unless the contrary is proved, that the child or minor has been detained for purposes of prostitution, or as the case may be, has been sexually exploited for commercial purposes. So section 2A has been added. This is the changes effected from 1987. A person shall be presumed to detain a woman or girl in a brothel or in or upon any premises for the purpose of sexual intercourse with a man other than her lawful husband, if such person, with intent to compel or induce her to remain there, withholds from her any jewelry, wearing apparel, money, or other property belonging to her, or threatens her with legal proceedings if she takes away with her any jewelry, wearing apparel, money, or other property lent or supplied to her by or by the direction of such person. This is as far as the pimps are concerned. Notwithstanding any law to the contrary, no suit, prosecution, or other legal proceeding shall lie against such woman or girl at the instance of the person by whom she has been detained for the recovery of any jewelry, wearing apparel, or other property alleged to have been lent or supplied to or for such woman or girl to have been pledged by such woman or girl, or for the recovery of any money alleged to be payable by such woman or girl. This is, we can say, a type of protection that is given to prostitutes, that the charges of theft or say other false cases can't be filed against them by the say pimps or touts. So there is the protection that is given to the say against false criminal cases. Seventh is prostitution in or in the vicinity of public places. So soliciting in public places is punishable. So any person who carries on prostitution and the person with whom such prostitution is carried on in any premises which are within the area or areas notified under subsection 3, or which are within a distance of 200 meters of any place of such of public religious worship, educational institution, hostel, hospital, nursing home, or such other public place of any kind as may be notified in this behalf by the commissioner of police or magistrate in the manner prescribed, shall be punishable with imprisonment for a term which may extend to 3 months. So this is as far as the soliciting is concerned. There are many such localities that are notorious in India, and most of the metropolitan areas have such areas which are demarcated as the prostitution areas. or red light areas as we call them. Subsection 1A, where an offence committed under subsection 1 is in respect of a child or minor, the person committing the offence shall be punishable with imprisonment of either description, that is simple or rigorous, for a term which shall not be less than 7 years, but which may be for life, or for a term which may extend to 10 years and shall also be liable to fine, provided that the court may, for adequate and special reasons to be mentioned in the judgment, impose a sentence of imprisonment for a term of less than 7 years. Now, any person who, being the keeper of any public place, knowingly permits prostitutes for purposes of their trade to resort to or remain in such place, or being the tenant, lessee, occupier, or person in charge of any premises referred to in subsection 1, knowingly permits the same or any part thereof to be used for prostitution, or being the owner, lessor, or landlord of any premises referred to in subsection 1, or the agent of such owner, lessor, or landlord, this is as far as the touts are concerned, let the same or any part thereof with the knowledge that the same or any part thereof may be used for prostitution, or is willfully a party to such use, shall be punishable on first conviction with imprisonment for a term which may extend to 3 months, or with fine which may extend to 200 rupees, or with both. And in the event of a second or subsequent conviction, with imprisonment for a term which may extend to 6 months, and also with fine which may extend to 200 rupees. And if the public place or premises happen to be a hotel, the license for carrying on the business of such hotel under any law for the time being in force shall also be liable to be suspended for a period of not less than 3 months, for which but which may extend to 1 year. So license of hotels may be suspended from 3 months to 1 year. Provided that if an offence committed under this subsection is in respect of a child or minor in a hotel, such license shall also be liable to be cancelled. So in case of children, if they are found in such premises, license may be cancelled. For the purposes of this subsection, hotel shall have the meaning as in clause 6 of section 2 of the Hotel Receipts Tax Act 1980. Under subsection 3, the state government may, having regard to the kinds of persons frequenting any area or areas in the state, the nature and the density of population therein, and other relevant considerations, by notification in the official gazette, direct that prostitution shall not be carried on in such area or areas as may be specified in the notification. So this is the power of the state government. Where a notification is issued under subsection 3 in respect of any areas or areas, the state government shall define the limits of such area or areas in the notification with reasonable certainty, and no such notification shall be issued so as to have effect from a date earlier than the expiry of a period of 90 days after the date on which it is issued. That means it can't be with retrospective effect, but 90 days notice is given. Seducing or soliciting for purpose of prostitution. So whoever in any public place or within sight of, and in such manner as to be seen or heard from any public place, whether from within any building or house or not, by words, gestures, willful exposure of her person, whether by sitting by window or on the balcony of a building or house, or in any other way, or otherwise tempts or endeavors to tempt or attracts, or endeavors to attract the attention of any person for the purpose of prostitution. This often happens in red light areas, in say metropolitan areas, and therefore in the 2006 amendment this was supposed to be dropped, but this section has not yet been dropped, so the law remains. Or solicits or protests any person, or loiters or acts in such manner as to cause obstruction or annoyance of persons residing nearby or passing by such public place, or to offend against public decency for the purpose of prostitution, shall be punishable on first conviction with imprisonment for a term which may extend to 6 months, or with fine which may extend to 500 rupees, or with both. And in the event of a second or subsequent conviction with imprisonment for a term which may extend to 1 year, and also with fine which may extend to 500 rupees. So as we can see, the punishment here is less as compared to that for touts or pimps. Provided that where an offence under this section is committed by man, he shall be punishable with imprisonment for a period of not less than 7 days, but which may extend to 3 months. So for men, the punishment is less. Seducing of a person in custody. Again, this is gender neutral. So any person who having the custody, charge or care of a position or a position of authority over any person causes or aids or abates the seduction for prostitution of that person shall be punishable on conviction with imprisonment of either description for a term which shall not be less than 7 years, but which may be for life, and for a term which may extend to 10 years and shall also be liable to fine. So as far as seduction of person in custody is concerned, so it may be punishable up to life imprisonment also, provided that the court may, for adequate and special reasons to be mentioned in the judgment, impose a sentence of imprisonment for a term of less than 7 years. Section 10 is it was about release of on probation of good conduct or after due admonition. So this has been omitted in say 1987. So it is not applicable now. 10 is detention in a corrective institution. This is as far as the rescue is concerned. So where a female offender is found guilty of an offense under section 7 or 8 and character, state of health and mental condition of the offender and the other circumstances of the case are such that it is expedient that she should be subject to detention for such term and such instruction and discipline as are conducive to her correction, it shall be lawful for the court to pass in lieu of a sentence of imprisonment an order for detention in a corrective institution. That means the court can send, instead of imprisonment, to a correction home for detention in a corrective institution for such term not being less than 2 years and not being more than 5 years as the court thinks fit. Provided that before passing such an order, the court shall give an opportunity to the offender to be heard and shall also consider any representation which the offender may make to the court as to the suitability of the case for treatment in such an institution, as also the report of the probation officer appointed under Probation of Offenders Act 1958. And the court shall record that it is satisfied that the character, state of health and mental condition of the offender and the other circumstances of the case are such that the offender is likely to be benefit by such instruction and discipline as aforesaid. And subject to the provisions of subsection 3, the provisions of the CRPC relating to appeal, reference and revision and of the limitation at 1963 as to the period within which an appeal shall be filed shall apply in relation to an order of detention under subsection 1 as if the order had been a sentence of imprisonment for the same period as the period for which the detention was ordered. So although it is a detention in a corrective home, it shall be treated as say imprisonment as far as the general provisions of CRPC and Limitation Act are concerned. That is, it is appealable. Subject to such rules as may be made in this behalf, state government or authority authorized in this behalf may, at any time after the expiration of 6 months from the date of an order for detention in a corrective institution, if it is satisfied that there is a reasonable probability that the offender will lead a useful and industrious life, discharge her from such an institution without condition or with such conditions as may be considered fit and grant her a written license in such form as may be prescribed. So this release may be possible after 6 months. And the conditions on which an offender is discharged under subsection 3 may include requirements relating to residence of the offender and supervision over the offender's activities and movements. Under section 11, notification of address of previously convicted offenders. So when any person, this as far as rescue is concerned, so again they should not go into the say prostitution. So there are some sections that are relevant under IPC also. So when any person having been convicted by court in India of an offence punishable under this act or punishable under section 363, 365, 366, 366A, 366B relating to import export also of that is human trafficking international. Section 367, 368, 370, 371, 372 or section 373 of the IPC with imprisonment for a term of 2 years or upwards or by court or tribunal in any other country of an offence which would, if committed in India, have been punishable under this act or under any of the aforesaid sections with imprisonment for a like term. After coming into effect of say this BNS, this would come in under chapter 5 of the that is specially pertaining to offences against women and children, is within a period of 5 years after release from prison, again convicted of any offence punishable under this act or under any of those sections with imprisonment for a term of 2 years or upwards by court, such court may, if it thinks fit at the time of passing the sentence of imprisonment on such person, also order that his residence and any change of or absence of from such residence after release be notified according to rules made under section 23 for a period of not exceeding 5 years from the date of expiration of that sentence. In general, we have sections 106 to 110 under which bonds are taken under CRPC. Here there are special provisions, so these override the provisions under CRPC. If such conviction is set aside on appeal or otherwise, such order shall become void. And an order under this section may also be made by an appellate court or by High Court when exercising its powers of revision. And any person charged with a breach of any rule referred to in subsection 1 may be tried by a magistrate of competent jurisdiction in the district in which the place last notified as his residence is situated. Section 12 is omitted in 1987. This was related to security for good behavior from habitual offenders, that is recidivists. Special police officer and advisory body. So it provides that there shall be for such area to be specified by the state government in this behalf a special police officer appointed by or on behalf of that government for dealing with offences under this act in that area. And the special police officer shall not be below the rank of an inspector of police. So that there is no harassment. The district magistrate may, if he considers it necessary or expedient so to do, confer upon any retired police or military officer all or any of the powers conferred by or under this act, or a special police officer with respect to particular cases or classes of cases or to cases generally, provided that no such power shall be conferred on a retired police officer unless such officer of the at the time of his retirement was holding a post not below the rank of an inspector, and a retired military officer unless such officer at the time of the retirement was holding a post not below the rank of a commissioned officer. So these can be appointed as special police officer as far as implementation of this act is concerned. For the efficient discharge of his functions in relation to offences under this act, special police officer of an area shall be assisted by such number of subordinate police officers, including women police officers, wherever practicable, as the state government may think fit, and the state government may associate with the special police officer a non-official advisory body consisting of not more than 5 leading social welfare workers of that area. Now here we see the role of social welfare workers as far as rescue rehabilitation is concerned, including women social welfare workers wherever practicable, to advise him on questions of general importance regarding the working of this act. This under section 13. Under subsection 4, central government may, for the purpose of investigating any offence under this act or under any other law for the time being in force, dealing with sexual exploitation of persons and committed in more than one state, appoint such number of police officers as trafficking police officers, and they shall exercise all the powers and discharge of all the functions as are exercisable by special police officers under this act, with the modification that they shall exercise such powers and discharge such functions in relation to the whole of India. So if it is interstate offence, then the central government has the powers. Then offences to be cognizable. That means arrest without warrant can be done. So notwithstanding anything contained in CRPC, any offence punishable under this act shall be deemed to be a cognizable offence within the meaning of that code, provided that notwithstanding anything contained in that code, arrest without warrant may be made only by the special police officer or under its direction or guidance or subject to his prior approval. That means those officers who had been empowered under section 13 can only do this. When the special police officer requires any officer subordinate to him to arrest without warrant, otherwise than in his presence any person for an offence under this act, he shall give that subordinate officer an order in writing, so that there is no misuse by subordinates. Specify the person to be arrested, that is the identification, just like in CRPC, and the offence for which the arrest is being made, and the latter officer being arresting before arresting that person shall inform him of the substance of the order, and on being required by such person show him the order. So although it is arrest without warrant, but still these provisions apply. And any police officer not below the order from superior officers has to be shown. Any police officer not below the rank of sub-inspector, specially authorized by the special police officer, may, if he has reason to believe that on account of delay involved in obtaining the order of the special police officer, any valuable evidence relating to any offence under this act is likely to be destroyed or concealed, or the person who has committed or is suspected to have committed the offence is likely to escape, or if the name and address of such a person is unknown, or if there is reason to suspect that a false name or address has been given, arrest the person concerned without such order. So there is an say where there is no such time to obtain from superior officer, but in such a case he shall report as soon as may be to the special police officer the arrest and the circumstances in which the arrest was made. So it has to be reported to special police officer. Now the search without warrant. So notwithstanding anything contained in any other law for the time being in force, whenever the special police officer or the trafficking police officer, as the case may be, has reasonable grounds for believing that an offence punishable under this act has been or is being committed in respect of a person living in any premises, and that search of the premises with warrant cannot be made without undue delay, such officer may, after recording the grounds of his belief, enter and search such premises without a warrant. So they can say raid any hotel or any premises that are being used, or any brothel, etc. Before making a search under subsection 1, special police officer or the trafficking police officer, as the case may be, shall call upon 2 or more respectable inhabitants, at least one of whom shall be a woman, of the locality in which the place to be searched is situate, to attend and witness the search, and may issue an order in writing to them or any of them so to do, provided that the requirement as to the respectable inhabitants being from the locality in which the place to be searched is situated shall not apply to a woman required to attend and witness the search. So these changes have been made from in the 1987, and the proviso was amended in 1979. Before now, any person who without reasonable cause refuses or neglects to attend and witness a search under this section, when called upon so to do by an order, to do so by an order in writing delivered or tendered to him, shall be deemed to have committed an offence under section 187 of the IPC. So not cooperating with police is a criminal offence in this case. Special police officer or trafficking police officer, as the case may be, entering any premises under subsection 1 shall be entitled to remove therefrom all the persons found therein. So this is how they can do the eviction from, say, hotel or any public place. Special police officer or the trafficking police officer, as the case may be, after removing the person under subsection 4 shall forthwith produce him before the appropriate magistrate. That is within 24 hours. Any person who is produced before a magistrate under subsection 5 shall be examined by registered medical practitioner for the purposes of determination of the age of such person or for the detection of any injuries as a result of sexual abuse or for the presence of any sexually transmitted diseases. So this 5A provides for medical exam. In this section, RMP, that is registered medical practitioner, has the same meaning as in the Indian Medical Council Act 1956. Now that has been repealed by the NMC, National Medical Commission Act. The special police officer or the trafficking police officer, as the case may be, and other persons taking part in or attending and witnessing a search shall not be liable to any civil or criminal proceedings against them in respect of anything lawfully done in connection with or for the purpose of the search. This is as far as the, we can say, protection for acts done in good faith. The 6A subsection, the special police officer or the trafficking police officer, as the case may be, making a search under this section shall be accompanied by at least 2 women police officers, and where any woman or girl removed under subsection 4 is required to be interrogated, it shall be done by woman police officer, and if no woman police officer is available, the interrogation shall be done only in the presence of a lady member of a recognized welfare institution or organization. So this interrogation has to be done in presence of a woman. For the purpose of this subsection and section 17A, recognized welfare institution or organization means such institution and organization as may be recognized in this behalf by the state government. Again, there is, we can see, role of social workers. Under subsection 7, provisions of the code of, that is CRPC, shall, so far as may be, apply to any search under this section as they apply to any search made under the authority of a warrant issued under section 94 of the said code. So section 50 of CRPC precise procedure for search, and this 94, that is as far as the arrest is concerned, and here the provisions of section 94 shall apply. Then rescue of person. So where a magistrate has reason to believe from information received from the police or from any other person authorized by the state government in this behalf or otherwise that any person is living or is carrying on or is being made to carry on prostitution in a brothel, he may direct a police officer not below the rank of a sub-inspector to enter such brothel and to remove therefrom such person and produce him before him. The police officer, after removing the person, shall forthwith produce him before the magistrate issuing the order. Again, him here includes her also, as per the General Clauses Act 1897. 17 is intermediate custody of persons removed under section 15 or rescued under section 16. So when the special police officer removing a person under subsection 4 of section 15 or a police officer rescuing a person under subsection 1 or section 16 is for any reason unable to produce him before the appropriate magistrate as required by subsection 5 or section 15, or before the magistrate issuing the order under subsection 2 of section 16, he shall forthwith produce him before the nearest magistrate of any class, as per what we call as transit remand. So, and who shall pass such orders as he deems proper fit for his he deems proper for his safe custody until he is produced before the appropriate magistrate, or as the case may be, the magistrate issuing the order. That means the transit remand shall be obtained from the nearest magistrate. Provided that no person shall be detained in custody under this subsection for a period of exceeding 10 days from the date of the order under this subsection, or restored to or placed in the custody of a person who may exercise a harmful influence over him. So here maximum custody is prescribed to be 10 days. When the person is produced before the appropriate magistrate under subsection 5 of section 15 or the magistrate under subsection 2 of section 16, he shall, after giving an opportunity of being heard, cause an inquiry to be made as to the correctness of the information received under subsection 1 of section 16, the age, character, and antecedents of the person, and all the suitability and the suitability of his parents, guardian, or husband for taking charge of him, and the nature of the influence which the conditions in his home are likely to have on him if he is sent home. And for this purpose, he may direct a probation officer appointed under the Probation of Offenders Act 1958 to inquire into the above circumstances and into the personality of the person and the prospects of his rehabilitation. Again, there is role of medical workers because social workers, because many of them are appointed as probation officers also. The magistrate may, whom an inquiry is made into a case under subsection 2, pass such orders as he deems proper for the safe custody of the person, provided that where a person rescued under section 17-16 is a child or minor, it shall be open to the magistrate to place such child or minor in any institution established or recognized under any Children Act for the time being in force in any state for the safe custody of children. Again, they are kept separate under as per the JJ Act. That is, there are orphan children, rescued children, or there are under trial children also. That is, who are facing allegations. And for convicted children, there are special homes. Provided further that no person shall be kept in custody for this purpose for a period exceeding 3 weeks from the date of such an order, and no person shall be kept in custody of a person likely to have a harmful influence over him. Where the magistrate is satisfied after making an inquiry as required under subsection 2 that the information received is correct and that he is in need of care and protection, he may, subject to the provisions of subsection 5, make an order that such person be detained for such period being not less than 1 year and not more than 3 years, as may be specified in the order, in a protective home or in such other custody as he shall, for reasons to be recorded in writing, consider suitable. So there could be, say, detention from 1 to 3 years. Provided that such custody shall not be that of a person or body of persons of a religious persuasion different from that of the person, and that those entrusted with the custody of the person, including the persons in charge of a protective home, may be required to enter into a bond which may, when necessary and feasible, contain undertaking based on directions relating to the proper care, guardianship, education, training, and medical and psychiatric treatment of the person, as well as supervision by a person appointed by the court, which shall be in force for a period not exceeding 3 years. This is how we can say it differs from jail, because, and that's why we call them homes, because there are, say, provisions for proper care, guardianship, education, training, medical, and psychiatric treatment. So in this respect, the home differs from that, protection home differs from jail or prison institution. In discharging the functions under subsection 2, a magistrate may summon a panel of 5 respectable persons, 3 of whom shall wherever practicable be women, to assist him, and may for this purpose keep a list of experienced social welfare workers, particularly women social welfare workers, in the field of suppression of immoral traffic in persons. An appeal against an order made under subsection 4 shall lie to the Court of Session, which decision of such appeal shall be final. So these orders are appealable before the Court of Session. 17A was introduced through an amendment in 1987. So this is as far as conditions to be observed before placing persons rescued under section 16 to parents or guardians. So notwithstanding anything contained in subsection 2 of section 17, the magistrate making an inquiry under 17 may, before passing an order for handing over any person rescued under section 16 to the parents, guardian, or husband, satisfy himself about the capacity or genuineness of the parents, guardian, or husband to keep such person by causing an investigation to be made by recognized welfare institution or organization. Again, we see here the role of recognized welfare institution or organization. 18 is closure of brothel and eviction of offenders from the premises. So a magistrate may, on receipt of information from the police or otherwise, that any house, room, place, or any portion thereof within a distance of 200 meters of any public place referred to in subsection 1 of section 7 is being run or used as a brothel by any person, or is being used by prostitutes for carrying on their trade, issue notice on the owner, lessor, or landlord of such house, room, place, or portion, or the agent of the owner, lessor, or landlord, or on the tenant, lessee, occupier of, or any other person in charge of such house, room, place, or portion, to show cause within 7 days of the receipt of the notice why the same should not be attached for improper use thereof. And if, after hearing the person concerned, the magistrate is satisfied that the house, room, place, or portion is being used as a brothel or for carrying on prostitution, then the magistrate may pass orders. So a 7 day show cause notice is issued. Directing eviction of the occupier within 7 days of the passing of the order from the house, room, place, or portion. So there could be forcible eviction. directing that before letting it out during the period of 1 year, or in a case where a child or minor has been found in such house, room, place, or portion during a search under section 15, during the period of 3 years, immediately after the passing of the order, the owner, lessor, or landlord, or the agent of the owner, lessor, or landlord shall obtain the previous approval of the magistrate. So this is how the closure of brothel can be done. Provided that if the magistrate finds that the owner, lessor, or landlord, as well as the agent of the owner, lessor, or landlord, was innocent of the improper user of the house, room, place, or portion, he may cause the same to be restored to the owner, lessor, or landlord, or the agent of the owner, lessor, or landlord, with a direction that the house, room, place, or portion thereof portion shall not be leased out or otherwise given possession of to or for the benefit of the person who was allowing the improper use therein. So this is restoration of the property. A court convicting a person of any offence under section 3 or section 7 may pass order under subsection 1 without further notice to such person to show cause as required in that subsection. And orders passed by the magistrate or court under subsection 1 or subsection 2 shall not be subject to appeal and shall not be stayed or set aside by the order of any court, civil or criminal, and the said orders shall cease to have validity after the expiry of 1 year or 3 years, as the case may be. So appeal in such cases can be done only to High Court or say constitutional, that is Supreme Court. Provided that where a conviction under subsection 3 or section 7 is set aside on appeal on the ground that such house, room, place, or any portion thereof is not being run or used as a brothel or is not being used by prostitutes for carrying on their trade, any order passed by the trial court under subsection 1 shall also be set aside. This is as far as the evidence is concerned. Notwithstanding anything contained in any other law for the time being in force, when a magistrate passes an order under subsection 1 or a court passes an order under subsection 2, any lease or agreement under which the house, room, place, or portion is occupied at the time shall become void and inoperative. So the civil agreements shall become null and void. When an owner, lessor, or landlord, or the agent of such owner, lessor, or landlord fails to comply with a direction given under clause B of subsection 1, he shall be punishable with fine, which may extend to 500 rupees, or when he fails to comply with a direction under the provision to that subsection, he shall be deemed to have committed an offence under clause B of subsection 2 of section 3 or clause C of subsection 2 of section 7, as the case may be, and punished accordingly. Then we have section 19. So application for being kept in a protection home or provided care and protection by court. So a person who is carrying on or is being made to carry on prostitution may make an application to the magistrate within the local limits of whose jurisdiction he is carrying on or is being made to carry on prostitution for an order that he may be kept in a protective home. So this is as far as the victim's rehabilitation is concerned. Or provided care and protection by the court in the manner specified in subsection 3, the magistrate may, pending inquiry under subsection 3, direct that the person be kept in such custody as he may consider proper, having regard to the circumstances of the case. Under subsection 3, if the magistrate, after hearing the applicant and making such inquiry as he may consider necessary, including an inquiry by probation officer appointed under the Probation of Offenders Act 1958, into the personality, conditions of home, and prospects of rehabilitation of the applicant, is satisfied that an order should be made under this section, he shall, for reasons to be recorded, make an order that the applicant be kept in a protective home or in a corrective institution or under the supervision of a person appointed by the magistrate for such period as may be specified in the order. So these are the three options that are available, that is protective home, corrective institution, or under supervision of any person appointed by the magistrate. In section 20, removal of prostitute from any place. So a magistrate, on receiving information that any person residing in or frequenting any place within the local limits of his jurisdiction is a prostitute, may record the substance of the information received and issue a notice to such person requiring him to appear before the magistrate and show cause why he should not be required to remove himself from the place and be prohibited from re-entering it. And every notice issued under subsection 1 shall be accompanied by a copy of the record aforesaid, and the copy shall be served along with the notice on the person against whom such the notice is issued. So there will be a show cause notice issued first. The magistrate shall, after the service of the notice referred to in subsection 2, proceed to inquire into the truth or the information received, and after giving the person an opportunity of adducing evidence, take such proper evidence, such further evidence as he thinks fit, and if upon such inquiry it appears to him that such person is a prostitute and that it is necessary in the interest of the general public that such person should be required to remove himself therefrom, and be prohibited from re-entering the same, the magistrate shall, by order in writing communicated to the person in manner specified therein, require him after a date to be specified in the order, which shall not be less than 7 days from the date of the order, to remove himself from the place to such place, whether within or without the local limits of his jurisdiction, by such route or routes, and within such time as may be specified in the order, and also prohibit from him from re-entering the place without the permission in writing of the magistrate having jurisdiction over such place. So this is removal of prostitute from any place. Then under subsection 4, whoever fails to comply with an order issued under this section within the period specified therein, or violates an order prohibiting him from re-entering a place, permission is in force, re-enters the place without such permission, or knowing that any person has under this section been required to remove himself from the place and has been obtained the requisite permission to re-enter it, harbors or conceals such person in the place, shall be punishable with fine which may extend to 200 rupees, not in the case of a continuing offense, with an additional fine which may extend to 20 rupees for every day after the first during which he has persisted in the offense. Then there is provision about protective homes. So the state government may in its discretion establish as many protective homes and corrective institutions under this act as it thinks fit, and such homes or institutions when established shall be maintained in such manner as may be prescribed. So there are rule making powers also to the state government. No person or no authority other than the state government shall, after the commencement of this act, establish or maintain any protective home or corrective institution except under and in accordance with the conditions of a license issued under this section by the state government. So state government issues license for protective homes. The state government may, on application made to it in this behalf by person or authority, issue to such person or authority a license in the prescribed form for establishing and maintaining, or as the case may be, for maintaining a protective home or corrective institution, and license so issued may contain such conditions as the state government may think fit for to license to impose in accordance with the rules made under this act. Provided that there are 3 provisos in this. Any such condition may require that the management of the protective home or corrective institution shall wherever practicable be entrusted to women. Secondly, provided further that a woman or say person or authority maintaining any protective home at the commencement of this act shall be allowed a period of 6 months from such commencement to make an application for such license. So if they're already in force, 6 months time was given to them. Provided also that a person or authority maintaining any corrective institution at the commencement of the suppression of immoral traffic in women and girls amendment at 1978 shall be allowed a period of 6 months from such commencement to make an application for such license. And before issuing a license, the state government may require such officer or authority as it may appoint for this purpose to make a full and complete investigation in respect of the application received in this behalf and report to it the result of such investigation. And in making any such investigation, the officer or authority shall follow such procedure as may be prescribed. A license, unless sooner revoked, shall remain in force for such period as may be specified in the license, and may on application made in this behalf at least 30 days before the date of the expiration be renewed for a like period. And no license issued or renewed under this act shall be transferable. Subsection 7 is where any person or authority to whom a license has been granted under this act, or any agent or servant of such person or authority commits a breach of any of the conditions thereof, or any of the provisions of this act, or of any of the rules made under this act, or where the state government is not satisfied with the condition, management and superintendence of any protective home or corrective institution, the state government may, without prejudice to any other penalty which may have been incurred under this act for reasons to be recorded, revoke the license by order in writing. So state government has the power of revoking license. Provided that no stay order shall be made until an opportunity is given to the holder of the license to show cause why the license should not be revoked. So show cause notice shall be given. Under subsection 8, where license in respect of a protective home or corrective institution has been revoked under the foregoing subsection, such protective home or corrective institution shall cease to function from the date of such revocation. This is the effect of revocation. And subject to any rules that may be made in this behalf, the state government may also vary or amend any license issued or renewed under this act. 9A has been added through an amendment in 1978. So state government or an authority authorized by it in this behalf may, subject to any rules that may be made in this behalf, transfer an inmate of a protective home to another protective home or to a corrective institution, or an inmate of a corrective institution to another corrective institution or to a protective home, where such transfer is considered desirable, having regard to the conduct of the person to be transferred, the kind of training to be imparted, and other circumstances of the case. So after obtaining the report from superintendent, the transfer from corrective to protective home and protective to corrective home, or from one home to another home, can be done, provided that no person who is transferred under this subsection shall be required to stay in the home or institution to which he is transferred for a period longer than he was requested to stay in the home or institution from which he was transferred. That is, total duration shall remain same, and reasons to be shall be recorded for every order of transfer under this subsection. Subsection 10 is, whoever establishes or maintains a protective home or corrective institution except in accordance with the provisions of this section shall be punishable in the case of a first offence with fine which may extend to 1,000 rupees, and in the case of second or subsequent offence with imprisonment for a term which may extend to 1 year, or with fine which may extend to 2,000 rupees, or with both. So this those who are maintaining these protective homes can also be also have to observe the law. 21 is production of records. So every person or authority who is licensed under subsection 3 of section 21 to establish or maintain, or as the case may be for maintaining a protective home or corrective institution, shall, whenever required by court, produce the records and other documents maintained by such home or institution before such court. That means they have to maintain those registers. Trials. So no court inferior to that of a metropolitan magistrate or judicial magistrate of the first class shall try any offences under section 3, section 4, section 5, section 6, section 7, or section 8. That is, minimum has to be JM first class. Metropolitan magistrates shall be abolished after the BNSS comes into effect from 1st July 2024 in India. Power to establish special courts. So if the state government is satisfied that it is necessary for the purpose of providing for speedy trial of offences under this act in any district or metropolitan area, this metropolitan area shall be abolished. Earlier it was the power given for cities having more than 10 lakh population. So now there will be a uniform judiciary because of the changes proposed to be made under BNSS in India. So there will be only judicial magistrates, and there will be no metropolitan magistrates, or there will not be any additional or assistant session judges. It may, by notification in the official gazette and after consultation with the High Court, establish one or more courts of judicial magistrate of the first class, or as the case may be metropolitan magistrates in such district or metropolitan area, and unless otherwise directed by the High Court, a court established under subsection 1 shall exercise jurisdiction only in respect of cases under this act. So special courts can be established that deal only with this particular act. And 22AA, this was also inserted through amendment in 1987. If the central government is satisfied that it is necessary for the purpose of providing for speedy trial of offences under this act and committed in more than one state, it may, by notification in the official gazette and after consultation with the High Court concerned, establish one or more courts of judicial magistrate of the first class or metropolitan magistrate for the trial of such offences. So for interstate offences, central government has the powers. The provisions of section 22A shall, so far as may be, apply to the courts established under subsection 1 as they apply to courts established under that section. And 22A, power to establish special courts. So under subsection 3, subject to the provisions of subsection 2, the jurisdiction and powers of the presiding officer of a court established under subsection 1 in any district or metropolitan area shall extend throughout the district or the metropolitan area as the case may be. This is the regional jurisdiction. And subject to the foregoing provisions of this section, a court established under subsection 1 in any district or metropolitan area shall be deemed to be a court established under subsection 1 of section 11, or as the case may be, subsection 1 of section 16 of CRPC, and the provisions of that code shall apply accordingly in relation to such courts. So in this section, High Court has the same meaning as in clause E of section 2 of the CRPC. Then 22AA, so under subsection 1, if the central government is satisfied that it is necessary for the purpose of providing for speedy trial of offences under this act, so it may and committed in more than one state, it may, by notification in the original in the official gazette and after consultation with the High Court concerned, establish one or more courts of judicial magistrate of the first class or metropolitan magistrate for the trial of such offences. And provisions of section 22A shall, so far as may be, applied to such courts established under subsection 1 as they apply to courts established under that section. 22B, again this is also added through amendment. Notwithstanding anything contained in CRPC, the state government may, if it considers necessary so to do, direct that offences under this Act shall be tried in a summary way by magistrate, including the presiding officer of a court established under subsection 1 of section 22A and the provisions of section 262 to 265. This is chapter 21 of CRPC, both inclusive, of the said code shall, as far as may be, apply to such trial. This will be now replaced by BNSS chapter 22. Provided that in the case of any conviction in a summary trial under this section, it shall be lawful for the magistrate to pass a sentence of imprisonment for a term not exceeding 1 year. So generally the power is 6 months, but here summary trial may be extended up to 1 year. Now this procedure is going to be changed because the burden of some courts shall be reduced, and there will be some changes as far as the jurisdiction is concerned after implementation of BNSS. Provided further that when at the commencement of or in the course of a summary trial under this section, it appears to the magistrate that the nature of the case is such that a sentence of imprisonment for a term exceeding 1 year may have to be passed, or that it is for any other reason undesirable to try the case summarily, the magistrate shall, after hearing the parties, record an order to that extent, and thereafter recall any witness who may have been examined and proceed to hear or rehear the case in the manner provided by the said code. That means instead of summary, he may change the procedure to summons trial. Then power to make rules. These are rule making powers. So state government may by notification in the official gazette make rules for carrying out the purposes of this Act. In particular and without prejudice to the generality of the foregoing powers, such rules may provide for the notification of any place as a public place, the placing in custody of persons for whose safe custody orders have been passed under subsection 1 of section 17 at their maintenance. BB, that is the discharge of an offender under subsection 3 of section 110A from a corrective institution and form of license to be granted to such offender, detention and keeping in protective homes, or as the case may be, in corrective institution of persons under this Act and their maintenance, carrying out of the provisions of section 11 regarding notification of residence or change of or absence from residence by released convicts, and the delegation of authority to appoint special police officer under subsection 1 of section 13, and the carrying into effect of the provisions of section 18. The establishment, maintenance, management, and superintendence of protective homes and corrective institutions under section 21, and appointment powers and duties of persons employed in such homes or institutions, the form in which an application for a license may be made and particulars to be contained in such application, the procedure for the issue or renewal of license, the time within which such license shall be issued or renewed, and the procedure to be followed in making a full and complete investigation in respect of an application for a license, the form of a license and the conditions to be specified therein, and the manner in which the accounts of protective home and corrective institution shall be maintained and audited. Clause 6. Maintenance of registers and statements by licensee and the form of such registers and statements, care, treatment, maintenance, training, instruction, control, and discipline of an inmates of protective homes and corrective institutions, the visits to and communication with such inmates, the temporary detention of persons sentenced to detention in protective homes or in corrective institutions until arrangements are made for sending them to such homes or institutions, the transfer of an inmate from one protective home to another or to a corrective institution, and one corrective institution to another or to a protective home under subsection 9A of section 21, and the transfer in pursuance of an order of the court from a protective home or a corrective institution to a prison of a person found to be incorrigible or exercising bad influence upon other inmates of that protective home. That means from protective home they can be sent to prison or the corrective institution and the period of his detention in such prison, and the transfer to a protective home or corrective institution of persons sentenced under section 7 or section 8 and the period of their detention in such home or institution. The discharge of inmates from a protective home or corrective institution either absolutely or subject to conditions and their arrest. In the event of breach of such condition, the grant of permission to inmates to absent themselves from for short periods, the inspection of protective homes and corrective institutions and other institutions in which persons may be kept, detained and maintained, and any other matter which has to be or may be prescribed. Now, since these are the state rules and law and order in India is a state subject, so central government has got only limited powers as far as interstate offences are concerned, and in most of the cases, different state governments may have different rules. There could be changes from state to state. In making any rule under clause D or clause G of subsection 2, the state government may provide that a breach thereof shall be punishable with fine which may extend to 250 rupees, and all rules made under this Act shall be, as soon as may be after they are made, be laid before the state legislature. This is the rule making process. Now the last two sections. So act not to be in derogation of or certain other acts. So nothing in this act shall be constituted to be in derogation of the provisions of the Reformatory Schools Act 1897 or any state act enacted in modification of the said act or otherwise relating to juvenile offenders. Now, as far as juvenile offenders are concerned, so in India we have earlier we had JJ Act 1986, then came JJ Act 2000. Now we have Juvenile Justice Care and Protection of Children Act 2015 after the Nirbhaya gang rape case. And repeal and savings. So as from the date of the coming into force in any state of the provisions other than section 1 of this act, all state acts relating to suppression of immoral traffic in persons or to the prevention of prostitution in force in that state immediately before such date shall stand repealed. So the central act repeats all the previous state acts. And notwithstanding the repeal of this act by any state act referred to in subsection 1, anything done or any action taken, including any direction given, any register, rule or order made, any restriction imposed under the provisions of such state act shall, insofar as such thing or action is not inconsistent with the provisions of this act, be deemed to have been done or taken under the provisions of this act, as if the said provisions were in force when such thing was done or such action was taken, and shall continue in force accordingly until superseded by anything done or any action taken under this act. This is the saving clause, so that there is no all the previous orders that were passed under the previous act remain in force unless they are superseded. And state act includes provincial act. Lastly, we have a schedule. This is as far as the competence of the magistrates is concerned. So for conviction under section 7.1, DM has the power. For 11.4, Metropolitan Magistrate or Judicial Magistrate of first class. For section 15.5, Metropolitan Magistrate, Judicial Magistrate of the first class or District Magistrate or Subdivisional Magistrate. So we can see that there are judicial as well as executive magistrates who have different powers. For section 16, we have Metropolitan Magistrate, JM of first class, District Magistrate or SDM. For 18, there is District Magistrate or SDM. For 19, there is Metropolitan Magistrate, Judicial Magistrate of first class, DM or SDM. Under section 22B, Metropolitan Magistrate or Judicial Magistrate of first class. After coming into effect of BNSS, these Metropolitan Magistrates shall be abolished, or we can say they will be renamed or converted into Judicial Magistrates. That means we have, say, for urban and rural areas, we shall have uniform judiciary from 1st July 2024. That completes this. Thank you. Any questions related to this act?
Congratulations, Virendra Kumar.
Thank you, sir.
Participants, if you have any queries, feel free to share in chat box or raise your hand so that you can unmute yourself.
This is my contact information. I'm thankful to Dr. Ravindra. I'm thankful.
Good evening,
Yes.
sir.
Yes. Good evening.
Good evening, sir. I'm Mary from Bangalore.
Yes, madam.
I thank Dr. Ravindra, sir, for giving me an opportunity to raise my question. Sir, I worked in Women and Child Department. Then I have read about this JJ Act and also.
Yes, madam.
And we had a superintendent and a probation officer. And we have 8 homes in that district, sir. I was a senior counselor for this department. All these points I have heard in that. What and all you told, no, sir. This and all I have read, and we supposed to explain that in Kannada also. They taught us how to explain and all. So it's a very informative. As other things I couldn't understand in previous sessions, but this I've heard about it a lot in my Women and Child Welfare Department. Thank you for the very informative sessions, are very valuable. God bless you, sir. Take care, sir.
Thank you, madam. Thank you so much. I hope it will be useful to all the social workers and particularly those who are involved with, say, women and child rescue and rehabilitation work. I'm thankful to Sri Holistic Health Foundation India and also Sri Research Institute and Center for Arts, Science and Wellbeing for giving me this opportunity to make this long presentation in this international conference.
Thank you, Virendra Kumar. Thank you, Mary, for your query. Yeah, I mean, social workers work in a multidisciplinary settings. So they work on environment, they work in correctional settings, they work in clinical settings, they work in communities. So these kind of topics are very much required. Even we have to be equipped with the basic, at least not complete, legal acts or anything, but we need to have idea of whether we have any provision, legal provision or not, whether there is any legal, act, laws or acts pertaining to particular issue. So that's why, and we are also, when we are working on sustainable development goals, this is also very important aspect, because we see a lot of issues and concerns which have to be dealt with the policy makers. So this will help us to address when we are taking the concerns, issues to the policy makers. It also helps with supporting evidence and substantial evidence, and also having legal perspectives. It helps to move the issues much faster. So thank you, Virendra Kumarji, once again. It was very useful presentation. And
well, I would like to add something related to prostitution also. This act was about immoral trafficking. So prostitution is legal in India, but number of related activities including soliciting or curb crawling, owning or managing a brothel, prostitution in hotel, child prostitution, pimping and pandering, these are illegal. And there are many brothels illegally operating in Indian cities. They include Mumbai, Delhi, Kolkata, Pune, Nagpur, among others. And UNAIDS estimate that there were 6,57,829 prostitutes in the country as of 2016. That is 657,000. Other unofficial estimates have calculated that India has roughly 3 million prostitutes. That is 30 lakh. These are unofficial estimates. And India is widely regarded as having one of the world's largest commercial sex industry. It has emerged as global hub of sex tourism, attracting sex tourists from wealthy countries. And sex industry in India is a multi-billion-dollar one and one of the fastest growing. This is as far as is concerned. As far as the history is concerned, so it started from Tawaif, courtesan under Mughal era, and they were highly regarded. That means they were not held in contempt, and some of them were even highly regarded. And from that ultimately started the Indian movie cinema industry also. Their modus operandi is they are either brothels. There is also street walkers or street prostitution. Then call girls is another name given to them. There are escort agencies. Some people run through private residences. Some run through massage and spa parlors. There are hotels, nightclubs, and bars. Then virtual sex, cyber sex, phone sex, and Devdasi, that is temple dancers. These are some of the different types of prostitutes in India. Then government organizations like Maharashtra District AIDS Control Society and National AIDS Control Organization, NACO, and some say NGOs are also working in this direction to rescue and rehabilitation of women. So this is very prevalent. The nodal ministry responsible for this is Ministry of Women and Child Development. Underage prostitution is also there, and it is estimated that 1.2 million children, that is 12 lakh children, are involved in prostitution. There are some red light districts of India. So many different areas are known. Some of them are Sonagachi in Kolkata, Kamatipura in Mumbai, Budhwarpet in Pune, Chaturbhuj Sthan in Muzaffarpur, Shivdaspur in Uttar Pradesh, Varanasi, GB Road in New Delhi, Ganga Jamuna in Nagpur, Reshampura in Gwalior, Kabadi Bazar in Meerut, and Mirganj in Prayagraj. These are some of the red light areas that are notorious where prostitutes are available. The legal status is, as we have already discussed, so Immoral Traffic Prevention Act is there, but the amendments did not come into effect in 2006 as was proposed in the bill, and it has lapsed. And there are some political and legal debates, that is whether prostitution should be legalized, whether it should be taxed, and as far as the AIDS control is also there. So different types of controversies are there. There are some NGOs who are working in the area of sex worker health also. There are foreign prostitutes also. Mainly they are coming from Azerbaijan, Russia, Uzbekistan, Philippines, Arab countries, Japan. former Soviet republics, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Nepal, Thai. So this is there. Sex trafficking is another area that is of concern. In popular culture, we see that there are many movies that are featuring the prostitutes. So in literature, ancient literature has it is considered one of the oldest this business in India. So Mricha Katik, a Sanskrit play, Shudraka, Vasant Sena is there, and then Utsav, a Hindi film, Amrapali, that was legendary in Nagar Vadhu, Vaishali, under the kingdom of Vaishali. And there was also Hindi film Amrapali in 1966. Some other movies include Pakija 1972, Umrao Jan 1981, Tawaif 1985, Kam Sutra, A Tale of Love 1996, Umrao Jan 2006, and other movies include Sharabi 1984, Amar Prem 1972, Mausam 1975, Mandi 1983, Devdas 2002, Chandani Bar 2001, Chameli 2003, Laga Chunari Mein Daag, Sadak 2007, Dev D 2009, BA Pass 2013, Thira 2013, and Begum Jan 2017. There are also some fictional films that include Slumdog Millionaire 2008, Char Futiya Chokre 2014, Manoranjan 1974, Sutradharan 2001, Calcutta News 2008, Lakshmi 2014, Love Sonia 2018, Gangubai Kathiawadi 2022. So these are some of the movies. And there was Born into Brothels 2004 American documentary film about prostitutes in Sonagachi, Kolkata, which won the Academic Award for documentary feature. So these are some of the movies that are about prostitution in India. So I'll stop here. Thank you so much. Any questions?
Thank you, Virendra Kumarji. As of now, there are no queries, but I think hope everyone got good insights into this. If there are any further queries, you can reach out to the resource person, as well as you can share in chat box. We'll get back to you with your queries. So thank you, sir. We wish you all the success. Look forward for more sessions in future.
Thanks to all the participants also. Thank you.
So we will be moving to our next presentation. Before that, we request all the presenters who are awaiting for your presentations to kindly share your details as per the format available on the screen. To the host, you can type your message with the following details and share it to the host so that we can invite you for the presentations. Those who have missed your presentations or those who have newly registered yesterday or today, you can use this opportunity to utilize the available time for your presentations. Next, we have with us Dr. Ukabalai. Are you available? You can raise your hand. Dr. Ukabalai, kindly respond if you are available. Otherwise, we will move on to next presenter. Now you can unmute yourself, start your video and presentation with your brief introduction. Meanwhile, other presenters are requested to share their details in the chat box.
Good evening to all. This is Dr. Oka from SRM University, Delhi NCR. Going to present insights on the topic that we have been talking about long, that bioremediation of heavy metals, and it's actually my PhD work that has been done by me during my PhDs, and nowadays I'm working as an assistant professor here. Is my screen audible to you people? Visible to you?
Yeah, please continue.
When you know that heavy metals are of high density metallic elements and are among the most important contamination in the environment, and nowadays we see that there are a number of classes of the pollutions that have been added to in our environment, and heavy metals being one of the important part of these, and these are the widespread pollutants of a great concern to the humanity because they have the two properties of they are non-degradable as well as they are persistent. That means if they are non-degradable and they are persistent, they are going to impact the human life in terms of the quality of life, in terms of the what you call as health of the humans as well. So there are a number of provisions were earlier available to remove these metals from the environment, but they were not significant high. And now what has been done is that we have used the microbial modification methods, and their methods of bioremediation by using the microbes have given a great promising results, and that's why we share some of the results of what microorganisms can do, especially with the metals they came from the cement industries. You know, though the metals came from the metallurgical processes, then plastic manufacturing units, you have electroplatings, you have the fertilizers and pesticides. All of these companies, wherever they are running in the world, they are producing these heavy metals. Like you may have the metallurgical processes giving you the arsenic, cadmium, copper, zinc, and then you can have the lead, mercury, chromium. You can again have some heavy metals from cadmium, zinc, and lead from the electroplating, and from fertilizers and pesticides and cement industries do add these heavy metals in our environment. And we have been previously using the immobilizations or the physical and activities, physical techniques, but we have seen that they were expensive and they were appropriate for the small areas. We were not able to use these techniques for the large areas and the rural areas like in the agricultural rooms or soils. But we have known microbes are present in the world which have a specific genes for the resistance of these heavy metals, and utilizing this property of the microbes, we can do the miracles to remove this kind of contamination. And we know that there are a number of industries. What I will focus upon what we have done in this work, that we have gone for the sample selections and we have analysis heavy metals in the soil, that we have gone for the isolation of the bacteria, determine their minimal inventory concentration and the potential of those bacteria. So it's not only necessary to identify the bacteria, it's necessary to evaluate their MICs and the potential of removing their metals. With that intentions, we have used the modern technologies. You know, for heavy metal analysis, we have made a high-end instrumentation, like we have used AAS for the analysis of heavy metals in particular soils. Then we have used isolation of chytrides and bacteria of the done. We have again used the high-end standard protocols, and then methods of isolation for bacteria. Again, we have done for the serial dilution and the split plate dilution, and then we have gone for the streak plate for the pure cultures, and then the morphological identification. You know that in the earlier times we used to identify the bacteria with the help of the micromorphology. Then we used to go for the gram staining, we call that as micromorphology. Now is the era when we have the sophisticated technologies. We use the molecular techniques as well as the MALDI-TOF techniques. And MALDI-TOF is a recent technique which has been instituted for the identification of bacteria, because It is robust. It's very much quick to do the multi-tap. It takes you only, if you have a multi-tap in a lab, it will take you only half an hour to identify that bacteria. That's what we are doing nowadays. That genomic bacteria is okay. It still takes you, because you need to have what you called as amplification of the PCR products, the genome and sequencer in the lab. But if you are able to get a multi-tap, and you can identify a bacteria only in half an hour. So this is what we call culturing of bacteria, extraction of DNA, purification of DNA sequencing, then identification, and then we have one more methodology for MIC. Again, a standard protocol was being followed, and then the mass cultivation was doing to assess the potential. If we look at the heavy metal analysis from what we have done in our study, that we have seen that majority of the soils in our study areas, especially the mercury and chromium, has gone beyond the WHO standards. When I say that mercury has gone beyond WHO standards, it poses a threat, environmental as well as the health threat to the humans who are living nearby to these lands or the agricultural fields or any streets in the world where the mercury is going above the WHO standard. Is going to have a serious implications for the health as well as environment. That's why we have chosen the topic of bioremediation of these metals. And we know that there are number of isolation characteristics that we go for the colony forming units again, but the number of isolates which we have done, but I will directly go to what we call, this is what we have got. These are the number of pure isolates of bacteria. You see, there are number of bacteria which are present, not only one, not only two, but there were number of bacteria which were present in these soils. At least 37 different microbial microbial species were isolated from these soils. And we have gone for the subject from gram staining, gram positive, gram negative, because the thing is that if you are nowadays using you are using the what you called as the genome expression, the DNA, then it is dependent upon the what is the gram positive or what is the gram nature of the bacteria. That's why we have to go for the gram nature of the bacteria. So we have also used a multi-tap. We have multi-tap. I have identified the species within the multi-tap structure. This is what we obtained from the multi-tap. Whenever you got a peak of the multi-tap, you got the fingerprints, and you use these fingerprints to identify the bacteria. On the basis of that, we have identified the bacteria, and this is the multi-tap gel view picture of the bacteria. This is what a representative gel image of 16S RNA bacterial. And these are the number of isolates which we have identified, and this we have submitted also in the NCBI, getting their accession numbers. This is the nucleotide number. For example, we have identified 37 bacterial species from the one side and 35 bacterial species from the other side. This is the phylogenetic relationship of the bacterial species which we have isolated from site 1, and this is the bacteria phylogenetic, and then this is bootstrap value of 1000, which we have analysis for the site 2. I told you that I have isolated 37 bacterial isolated from the site 1, and we have isolated 35 different isolated from the bacterial isolated from the site 2. And if we come to taxonomical classification, majority of the bacteria, they were from the Bacillacea family, and they were followed by the Enterobacteriaceae, followed by the Palinococcaceae, Staphylococcaceae, Iridomonaceae, and Pseudomonaceae. Again, that from site 2, the majority of the bacteria were from the Bacillacea species. And what we do that, the MIC for all these, we have used the 96 Borewell plate, and that we send it to the MIC reader, and we get. You see, these are the glimpse of the metal tolerant bacteria. We have isolated mercury tolerant bacterial species, cadmium tolerant bacterial species, lead tolerant bacterial species, as well as nickel tolerant bacterial species. As per the bacteria is concerned, as per the this MIC is concerned, the MIC values, we have seen that we have isolated at least 6 to 8 bacterial species which were having the
lights are not changing, Dr. Akhil.
Sir, I am changing the slides here.
Yeah, but here slides are not changing. Maybe you have selected wrong window.
Maybe some issue with the, I think with this.
You can try stop sharing and again start sharing.
One second, sir. So is it visible now, sir?
Not yet. It's still showing.
Is it visible now?
No, I think there is some network problem. It is still showing.
Network problem. That's why we are facing this issue. Yeah, actually, there's a network problem. That's why. So shall I continue?
Yeah, please continue. Whenever that PPT is loaded, you can move to that slide. Or you can just keep it in normal mode. Yeah, now,
Okay, sir.
Now the graph slide is there.
Is there a graph slide?
You have to share it again.
Okay.
It was closed. Share the slides once again.
One second, sir. I will share.
You have to click on share screen and select the window where the PPT is open.
I'm doing so, but there is some issue with the connectivity and I'm not able to get it.
You can connect to Wi-Fi network if there is any Wi-Fi or cable net.
Sir, I am on the Wi-Fi. I am on the Wi-Fi, sir. Don't know what's happened. Okay.
What is it showing on your screen?
One second, sir. Is it visible, sir?
It's still not visible, but it is now it's visible. The table slide is there.
Yeah, that's table slide. What we have done is actually that we have first get the MIC for the bacterial species which were tolerant for the bacteria. For that, we have isolated a species that is Pseudomonas putida, which was having the MIC of 400 ppm. And again, if you look at the graph, we have the species that were ranging from 200 ppm to 400 ppm, which were having the tolerance limit of, like we have Lecratia from the tolerance of 200, Serratia 200, but the species which we got with the highest MIC was the Pseudomonas putida. This is the graphical representation of the same. And again, for the cadmium, again, we have got a species that was having the 900 ppm of this tolerance, that was Bacillus milis. And we have how the 600 minimum from Enterobacter coli. And then this is the graphical representation of the same what we have got it. We were having the lead for lead. We were having the maximum of 900 ppm of tolerance to Bacillus thuringiensis, and the minimum of the Staphylococcus werneri of 500 ppm. And this is the graphical representation. And nickel, we are having 1000 ppm of the MIC, minimum inhibitory concentration. That is a very high concentration of 1000 ppm for Klebsiella pneumonia, and the least was seen in Bacillus thuringiensis, that was at least 600 ppm. And this is the graphical representation of the same. But what we did after that is to check the potential of these. And we have seen that among the mercury tolerant bacteria, Pseudomonas putida showed the highest potential of 73% sequestration potential after 48 hours. While as the least potential was shown by 51% was shown by what you called as Klebsiella pneumonia. In case of the cadmium, the tolerant bacteria was Pseudomonas mendeli, but the highest sequestration potential was shown by Klebsiella pneumonia, which has a sequestration potential of 75.2%, and the least was shown by Pseudomonas putida, showing the potential of 52.4%. In case of lead tolerant, we have isolated number of species, but the highest number of goes to the Bacillus thuringiensis with a potential of 65.3%, and the least was shown by what you called as S. werneri of 52%. And nickel tolerant bacteria, we have isolated that, but the highest potential was shown by Klebsiella pneumonia, and the sequestration was 58.6% after 48 hours, and the least was shown by 50% by Bacillus thuringiensis. And this is the graphical representation of the same, that Klebsiella pneumonia has shown the highest potential, and Pseudomonas showing the highest by 73%. And this is the graphical representation. Klebsiella pneumonia for the cadmium, and graphical representation, and Bacillus thuringiensis for the lead. And this is the graphical representation of the same. You know that what conclusions we got, that the concentration of heavy metals were found to be maximum in our study site, which were, although the limits of mercury and copper were above the limits of what were permissible by the WHO. The main sources of these heavy metals are the factories and the pesticides from the using the pesticides also. Bacteria were belonging to the different diverse groups in the saffron soils, from Bacilli as a dominant phylum. Our observations contribute to understand the metal tolerance among the different bacteria isolated from the saffron soils. And we regard the Bacillus thuringiensis in the study what we have conducted. This was the first report in the that we have reported that Bacillus thuringiensis tolerance for the Bacillus thuringiensis in terms of the what you called as resistance to the lead. This was the first report, and the metabolic resistance needs to be studied more. The metal resistance property of these metals can be beneficial for detoxifying and eliminating heavy metals, providing an option for eco-friendly and sustainable options for the bioremediation. Thus, it could be concluded that bioenvironmental interactions between the bacteria and metals of great significance in the remediation of the heavy metals, especially in the contaminated soils, and this can be a format friendly for those. From the recommendations that the study of impact of heavy metals on the growth parameters on every plant should be identified. Synergistic actions of plant microbe and the mechanism metal mobilization transportation should be studied. Metal tolerant bacteria should be used in the field in order to get the actual insights of the what they can do in the field. Despite several findings to date, various types of regulatory network by plant associated microbes in the heavy metal stress are still unknown. We need to investigate more, like crosstalks and the soil microbes, interactions with them. What are the different genes? What are the different enzymes that get activated while we are using these bacteria? Further experiments in natural conditions should be conducted. Thus, the study highlights the importance of consistent link between the research and development for the assessment and treatment of emerging metal pollutions and tools, equipments, know how these contribute towards the fulfillment of the challenge. The use of pesticides and herbicides should be minimized because ultimately these are the harms to our environment. These are some of the publications which we have published from these studies. We have also published several number of book chapters from this study. And these are some of the conferences which are being held. I must thank the Head Department of Environmental Science, which gives me the facilities in their research center. My supervisors, NCMR, Director NCMR, Serve DST for funding this, and whosoever helped in my search of this PhD. I have a special thanks for all of them. Thanks to this platform for providing us an opportunity online to present our works, insights for the session, which can be taken up in further these conferences. Thank you all. Thank you for your patience and listening to me. If any queries regarding this, you can put that to me.
Yeah, congratulations, very well presented.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Thanks for providing the platform.
Participants, if you have any queries, suggestions, feedback, you can share in chat box or you can raise your hand so that we can allow you. You can continue to provide your feedback in chat box. So we'll move on to our next speaker. We request presenters awaiting for their presentations to kindly share their details in chat box. If there are no presentations, we'll take a break for half an hour and join back again at 6 o'clock for today's presentations, the regular presentations. Okay, then I think there are no further presentations. So we will join back with the same link